Letterkenny Retail Park or shop online at evolveclothing.com. Stocks won't last.
Crawley Distillery Visitors Experience is celebrating its 3rd birthday on Friday the 4th of July and you're invited. Join the crack at 3 p.m. for a special toast and your chance to win a bottle your own experience. Plus enjoy 50% off tours on the day only with code 3years online at thecrawleydistillery.com. Enjoy entertainment, special offers and a warm voucher for all. Crawley Distillery. Experience the spirit of Donegal.
There, is that it? There you go. Greg, you give me the heebie-jeebies at 5:30 this morning.
How come?
I'll keep it short, right? But
yeah.
We did the podcast last night.
That's
Thanks
right.
thanks to
it's
the
on our socials, yeah.
Yeah, it is. So thanks for that. But you mentioned passport, right?
Yes.
I did dig out my passport, but I never looked at it yesterday, right? I said, I'll just take it for ID, right? So I ran up this morning at 5:30 up to the attic, where a wee attic officey thing, for my passport. I looked at the date. You know what date's on it?
No. Ooh. July 2025.
That was.
But I think your driving licence might get you away in Britain on.
But I'm all right for that, aren't I?
Yeah, but you couldn't go to. There's certain countries you couldn't go to with an expiration date of July 25.
Could you not?
No. You have to have a certain. I think it's a minimum of 3 months or something.
Yeah. So you just had this. I woke up and said, I'll just check.
You're right.
So thanks.
Always check your passport, folks.
Yeah, God almighty, many times.
We'll chat to you tomorrow. Have a good trip.
Well, thank you very much, right?
And Marty's in for you in the morning.
He is, and a grand secret sound as well. Lovely.
1,000.
Yeah.
1,000.
Do you know the last time he sat in? What happened?
It was 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's make sure he knows exactly what it is.
Right, good luck. Thanks,
right. It's 9:02. Let's get a news update and cross over now to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The HSE has confirmed that the capital investment plan for Letterkenny University Hospital will run in parallel with proposals for Sligo University Hospital. Councillor Ciaran Brogan has welcomed the confirmation that going forward, both hospitals will be on a level playing field. A capital programme oversight board has been established, which will facilitate input from staff across all areas. Councillor Brogan says it's vital all interested parties are united to secure vital investment for Letterkenny University Hospital.
There's key capital investment that's needed, including the bed expansion, the critical care, the expansion of the emergency urgent care and local injuries unit, and indeed the ambulatory care centre as well. There's a huge level of investment that's needed, but we need everyone coming together to make this happen. This is work in progress, and we need to, when we get this information collated together, we need to make sure that we have a time frame for that investment as well.
An Inishowen councillor says there needs to be an end to water being supplied to other parts of Donegal from the peninsula until infrastructure issues are addressed. It comes as parts of Carndonagh enter a second day without water, while businesses have been forced to close as parts of Clonmany experience 4 water mains bursts over the past week. Water is pumped from the Eddie Fullerton Pollen Dam each day to service properties in Letterkenny. However, Councillor Martin McDermott has warned that this cannot continue at the expense of those in Inishowen.
I've no issue with that water going to other parts of the county, as long as Inishowen is served first. And I think that Irish Water need to be sure that our area is served first and that we have adequate water supply before any other area gets it. But our big thing is at the minute is to make sure that Irish Water have a serious look at the infrastructure here, because what's happening at the minute cannot keep going on.
The amount paid out by Donegal County Council for pothole damage has almost doubled. According to Freedom of Information figures, last year the local authority paid almost €8,000 in pothole damage payouts, up from €5,300 in 2023. Despite that, the number of complaints received by the council in 2024 was down 52%. The local authority received a total of 108 pothole complaints last year. Nationally, over 48,000 complaints were made between 2022 and 2024. Illegal commercial turf cutting is still widespread in Ireland, according to a new report. It's causing catastrophic damage to the environment, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Keisha Conley reports.
The EPA investigated 38 sites across 7 counties: Offaly, Kildare, Tipperary, Westmeath, Roscommon, Longford and Sligo. They found large-scale commercial peat extraction is taking place without the right approval from local authorities. The EPA says these illegal operations are contributing to an export trade of 300,000 tonnes of peat annually, valued at almost €40 million. The agency also says the illegal sites are destroying precious natural environments and need to stop. It's urging local authorities to take appropriate enforcement actions against such operations.
For weather now, breezy today, becoming cloudy this afternoon and evening with outbreaks of rain developing. Highest temperatures of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
They told me I only had 20 seconds to tell you about the new 20 hot wings bucket for $11.95 at KFC. It's 20 hot wings for $11.95. It speaks for itself. That's it. That's the ad. The 20 hot wings bucket. Only at KFC. Available until July 20th, 2025. Subject to availability. Participating restaurants only. Excludes delivery. See website for full T's and C's.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. We're at Thursday. It's the 26th of June 2025 and I do hope you're well. How are you keeping? It is the 9 till Noon Show for the next 3 hours. We've got a great mix of analysis of the latest news stories, platforming matters that are important to you and hearing your views as well. And I invite them via WhatsApp or text to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. We have people text reasonably regularly and those of you that text for the first time every morning, and it's great to have you forming part of the conversation. Everyone's views are equal here. If you want to send WhatsApp voice notes, you can use that number as well, by the way, 086 60 25,000. Caroline and Shannon are taking your calls on 07491 25,000, and the email's always there. Comments at highlandradio.com. Just to remind you, of course, if you listen to the podcast or overnight, feel free to email or WhatsApp for that matter, and we can pick up your comments and carry them into the next live show. And if you want to watch the programme, we're on YouTube, Facebook and on the X platform. The paper's out this morning. We'll start with the Tyrconnell Tribune, and they've got an analysis of the Creasler project, the planning awarded by Donegal County Council being overturned by An Commission Pleanala, formerly An Bó Pleanala. The restrictions within the new national planning guidelines have seen An Commission Pleanala refuse an application for the rebuilding of a shop and filling station in Creasler. 10 people, as we know, lost their lives there on October the 7th, 2022. Well, last year, as concerns grew about the restrictions in the new laws, local politicians expressed fears that the N56 from the mountain top to Letterkenny to Killybegs could become a sterile zone for planning and development. An Commission Pleanala has also clarified that in order to protect the carrying capacity of strategic routes, new petrol filling stations requiring direct access onto such routes will not be considered outside the 60-kilometre speed limit. At local level, these concerns were raised by councillors Michael McLaughlin and Liam Blaney in Lifford, while Pierce Doherty addressed the issue in the Dáil in November. And there's, as I say, quite a detailed analysis of all of that on the front of and inside that paper today. The Donegal News this morning, a preschool owner who had to close the doors of her service after nearly 2 decades because the building it operated out of is being sold, has said more strain will now be put on a sector already under pressure. Tanya Roberts-Brown was the very proud owner of Rainbows Preschool in Carragart, which was a home from home to 16 children this year. It shut its doors for the final time on June 17th, despite a tireless search for other suitable premises in Carragart in a bid to keep the much-loved preschool open. None were found. The Derry News this morning, zero respite provision for young people with disabilities. Catherine McGinty writes that there is currently zero respite provision for children and young people with disabilities in the Western Health and Social Care Trust's northern sector. Parents and guardians were informed of the situation at a private meeting with the Trust's children's disability managers held in Derry's Destined Centre last Wednesday morning. On to the Nationals, and of course anyone out on the road, if you're driving, of course, takes a strong interest in petrol and diesel prices. They seem to have gone up in certain places, whether that's new deliveries or what have you over recent times. But motor fuel prices have gone up again, heaping more pressure on motorists who are already dealing with increases in living costs. The cost of a litre of petrol and diesel are up at 1 cent each, according to the June AA Ireland Fuel Price Survey. Prices were also up last month. The AA said that the rise in prices may be modest, but the increase adds further pressure to motorists already managing the high cost of living. Well, I saw petrol stations increase prices by much more than a cent. Electric vehicle charging prices, however, remain stable. So petrol now costs an average of $1.77 per litre, up 1 cent since last month. Diesel has risen to an average of $1.69 per litre. But again, I've seen diesel at $1.77 a litre, and I've seen diesel at $1.58 a litre. Now, I know $1.69 is an average, but it goes to show different service stations enjoy different profit margins per litre on the petrol and the diesel. So, I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of stability now in oil markets. Whether they go up or down from here on in remains to be seen what happens in the Middle East. What we do know, whether people like to admit it or not, is prices go up quick and come down slow. In terms of building the houses that we need in this country, there's many factors that makes making targets actually almost a fool's errand. We've talked about infrastructure extensively on this show, lack of water, power, etc. But also, too, in terms of getting people to build houses, we have a massive shortage of skilled workers. And all workers are skilled in my view, but you know what I mean, to actually construct the houses that are required. How many workers are we short? Well, according to the Irish Daily Mail, and they're quoting the ESRI, Ireland will need an extra 80,000 workers to build the houses needed and to complete the enormously ambitious National Development Plan at the same time. That is according to the ESRI. So where are those workers going to come from? They're probably going to have to come from abroad. Well, if they do, where are they going to live? Where are they going to live while they're building the houses that everybody else needs? Total employment is already expected to increase by 40,000, but the economy will need twice the number to deliver National Development Plan projects. Those projects include the Metrolink to Dublin Airport, the DART extension, and investments in renewable energy and energy efficiency. However, the ESRI economic think tank described achieving such a surge in workers during a period of high employment as inconceivable in the short term. The economy is expected to grow by 4.6% and exports by 5.4% this year. Next year, economic growth forecast is to grow by 2.9% and exports by 3.3%. However, the ASRI warned if trade wars between the US and its trading partners intensify, this forecast will need to be revised downwards. Listen, we all know they're probably going to settle on 10%. That's the bottom line. Donald Trump needs to do business, and he needs America to be able to do business. He's achieved compromise tariffs with other parts of the world, and he'll do the exact same with the EU. That's just a given. The war is not a war. He lays out his starting point. Whomever he's laying that out to as their starting point, and they generally meet somewhere in the middle that's agreeable to all. On to the world news section of the Irish Times. And staying with Donald Trump, the 32 leaders of the NATO military alliance have signed a unanimous agreement to commit 5% of national output to defence and related infrastructure in a pact German Chancellor Friedrich Merz described as historic. At the culmination of a 2-day summit in The Hague, the commitment was matched by strong reassurances from US President Donald Trump that the US, in turn, continued to support mutual defence among the allies as set out in Article 5 of the NATO Charter. So effectively means if there was an attack on one member of NATO, it's attack on all, and every arm of NATO would respond to that. But I was listening to an interview with Vladimir Putin recently, and he proposed something which I thought was really quite interesting. He said that, say, for instance, things escalated in the EU and the Russians dropped a major bomb, like a nuclear bomb or a tactical nuke in Paris, for an example, and flattened Paris. Let's just say that as hypothetical. He questioned whether or not Donald Trump, even though there is a NATO pact there, he questioned whether Donald Trump would get involved. He said, effectively, and I'm paraphrasing, why would Donald Trump on a far-flung part of the world, or any president for that matter, risk being attacked by Russia because France was bombed? Now, I know they've agreed that, but I just wonder if that were tested. And I was thinking, you know what? America first, why would they get involved? Why would they put a target on their back for nuclear weapons from Russia or some of their colleagues, for an example? And I was thinking, you know what? He could be right in that one. I can see America trying to wiggle out of getting involved in a European war, even though the NATO agreement commits that they must. All right, the Irish Farmers Journal. There's been a surge in the number of finishing units slaughtering thousands of cattle annually. Irish Farmer Journal analyst has revealed 17 finishing units slaughtered over 5,000 cattle each in 2024. The number of units finishing between 3,000 and 5,000 cattle almost double between 2022 and 2024, rising from 14 units in 22 to 25 units last year. Many of these large finishing units are factory aligned or factory owned, and their stock numbers far exceed the average number of 38 cattle slaughtered per finisher herd. Meanwhile, at the other end of the scale, the number of farmers finishing up to 25 cattle continues to decline. Last year, there were 15,176 fewer farmers finishing up to 25 cattle compared to 2012. It does feel, for the smaller farmer, a bit of a sunset industry. Right, you might know that the National Children's Hospital is continuing to be constructed, and it has to be named. So what would you call it? Firstly, I'll give you two scenarios and you can see if you can come up with a name. National Children's Hospital, the National Children's Hospital, because that's exactly what it is, right? And it's located in Ireland. Okay, so it's not in France or Germany or England. So what would you call it? Would you call it the National Children's Hospital Ireland? Well, if you'd have come up with that, you could have been given €4,500 because the cost the government $4,500 to name the new children's hospital the National Children's Hospital Ireland. This was one of 17 names suggested with the support of specialist branding agency for the beleaguered facility in Dublin. It's expected to open in June 2026 and in the best case scenario will cost at least $2.2 billion, Health Minister Jennifer Karen McNeil said. So $4,500 to call it the National Children's Hospital Ireland. And I got nothing for calling this the 9 till noon show. Nothing. Right, on to the Irish Daily Star now. And Pope Leo XIV has affirmed that priests must be celibate and insisted that bishops take firm and decisive action to deal with sex abusers. Leo yesterday met in St. Peter's Basilica with about 400 bishops and cardinals from 38 countries attending the this week's special Holy Year celebrations for clergy. A day after he gave an uplifting message of encouragement to young seminarians, Leo offered a more comprehensive outline of what bishops must do to lead their flocks. History's first American pope reaffirmed that the primary role of bishops is to forge unity in his diocese among clergy and to be close to the flock in word and deed. Bishops must live in poverty and simplicity, he said, which is interesting. But certainly the church is not going to go in a different direction on celibacy under Pope Leo's watch, it would seem. And finally, MEP Sean Kelly has opened the door on a tilt at the presidency, but he admitted the crazy 7-year term is putting him off, which is a fair enough point. 7 years is a long time, isn't it? Michael D. Higgins will leave Arsenal in November after 14 years in the role, with November 11th, the latest date an election can be held. Former Vice President of the European Parliament, Mairead McGuinness, is the first front-runner to bag the Fine Gael nomination. However, former GEA boss Kelly could make it a two-horse race. Interesting. I think Mairead McGuinness is going to end up getting it for Fine Gael. We shall see, though Sean Kelly is a popular chap. But I think he's right. 7 years, it should be aligned with the Dáil and what have you. Then again, I think maybe it's time we looked at, or is it time, I ask, this someone being elected as a TD forever, effectively, if they continue to get the votes. Is that the right way? Maybe there should be a term on that. Maybe you should be limited to 2 terms as a TD. Freshen it up, give someone else a chance, either within a party or outside of a party. Are you going to start getting stale after a couple of terms? You bedded in, the money's made. You probably have a couple of pensions, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 pensions in the bag at that stage. Is it time maybe that we have, a couple of terms for TDs and let other people have a crack and maybe reduce the presidency from 7 years to 5? Any views on any of that to 086 60 25 000, or feel free to give us a call too on 074 91 25 000.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Midsummer markdowns have launched at McElhinney's department store with up to 25% off your favourite designer brands in fashion, accessories, home and much more. Discover unmissable offers online at mcilhenneys.com or visit us in store and save big this summer with McElhinney's.
This summer, fuel up for your holiday adventures with Certa and Adon the Little Dragon. Every time you fill up at a Certa forecourt or depot, you could win great weekly prizes, from fuel vouchers to your very own Adon Teddy. And you may also be in with a chance to win a luxury family break at Fota Island Resort, worth €2,000. So don't miss out. Fuel up for your summer adventures at Certa. For details and T's and C's, visit certaireland.ie/summer.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Tiles, bathware and wood flooring. The best quality and value in the Northwest. Fully stocked and ready to go. Fitters and delivery available. 10% off for mica affected customers. Don't forget to ask about our 5-day bathroom fit out. Call Milford Tiles on 083 091 0707.
It's easy to feel trapped when you're dealing with mortgage arrears. The worry, sleepless nights, the impact on you and your family. But there is a way out.
Welcome. Come on in.
At Awalya, our door is always open. We're here to help and ready to listen. Get free, confidential support and practical advice to help you take control of the situation by visiting mabs.ie/Awalya. That's mabs.ie/Awalya, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
OK, it is 22 minutes past 9 now. Letterkenny Chambers echoed the national call to action from Chambers Ireland for delivering the state's key infrastructure. Letterkenny Chambers' submission to the National Development Plan 2026 to 2035 renews calls for the immediate delivery of delayed Donegal route, the 10T project, prioritised housing delivery to unlock growth and address workforce shortages. Jimmy Stafford's the Letterkenny Chamber President, and he joins me on the programme now. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, Greg. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. I mean, like, if I were a government TD listening to this, I would say, well, the 10T project, you know, we can timeline it now. It is progressing, and the provision of housing is a national strategy, and it's all gun blazing to deliver on that. So is there anything sort of specific that you think the government needs to step up on and prioritise?
Yeah, I think our statement today, Greg, is on the back of Chambers Ireland, have also come out today across the country because the submissions to the National Development Plan are due tomorrow. So I suppose the key one for us is around, I suppose, its delivery and its action rather than ambition would be the two words we've used, Greg. So it's kind of, you know, recently at the President's lunch, we would have outlined some of that to say, you know, I suppose you look at things like the 10T and the A5, as we've been discussing all week on your own programme, that it's kind of, can we get specifics now around dates and start delivering? I suppose at a time when you are seeing economic growth in the country, and I suppose now is the time to invest. And I suppose, Greg, on top of that, we specifically talk about the Northwest and being one of the regions, I suppose, the most underinvested regions in, you know, we're 234 out of 260 odd in Europe. As John Daly would say, we're in the transition period or in the bottom of the relegation zone. So, like, it's that whole area, as you've outlined at the start, it's 10T, it's those delivering the infrastructure, which is key for us. So it's getting into specifics now, Greg, and I suppose it's trying to get timelines and all that. Yeah, workforce shortages, what is the issue and how do you think that could be addressed? I know this is a job for government, don't get me wrong, but I suppose you're polling, you know, the membership of the Chamber and beyond. So what are the workforce shortages and how might we address those, I wonder? I guess, you know, again, being discussed, housing is the key one. So when you talk to any of the employers around Donegal, you know, when they talk to potential employees who are going to come to Donegal, where do you live? And I suppose that's even further, Greg, by the Michael crisis that's in Donegal and beyond, that you have a shortage of housing. That's the first thing that every employer does in our surveys, is housing and lack of. And then you link that again to infrastructure, Greg, and across both the water, electric, and that sort of stuff. So they're the key challenges, that we just don't have enough houses at the moment. And I hear this morning the SRI have come out and said, the numbers that are projected to be built this year are even less again that have been projected. So that would be the number one challenge. And I suppose if you're going to, and again, if you look at some of the multinationals we have working in Donegal or employing in Donegal, when they go to look for employees outside of Ireland, one of the key challenges is, where do I live? And I suppose, Greg, every county is suffering that, but specifically, I suppose, the Northwest, we'd be up there in that, again, in the top of that bracket as the number one issue.
Mm-hmm. What does a regional stimulus package look like?
What does the package look like? I think it's specifically around the Northwest, and coming back to what we said, and John Daly on his economic stats, and again, when you start reading his stats, that the Northwest, and he specifically look further north of the Northwest, as I call it, because Galway is included in that as well, Greg, is that specifically we need a stimulus package for the Northwest from Europe and from government. And that again comes back to infrastructure, and comes back to things like water, comes back to things like, we use a word called positive discrimination, Greg, and it's kind of a way of saying you got to look specifically at the Northwest, you got to look at the infrastructure there, around roads, around water, around electric, and all that sort of stuff. And that's and years ago that would have been done as well. And I think that's something we've been asking for as a chamber.
Yeah, okay. And as you say, though, these are issues that are in every part of the country, and it's the struggle is trying to get. I suppose positive discrimination would be one thing, but even a fair share might be another.
I think so. And look, the word we use is delivery, Greg. That's the key one, and it's not just plans. And I think, even at a board level, when we sit down at a board, and the board of 17 represent a lot of different diverse businesses, one of the key things is accountability and a timeline, which I talked about at the start. And it's kind of saying, like, when will we have something? And an example for us would be the likes of the Market Square, which has been talked about. I know it's gone to tender at this stage. So again, whilst it's a small thing, it would be lovely to say, there'll be a digger on the ground in September, October. So it's kind of asking those questions. How can we have specifics? And whilst that's a smaller project in the bigger scheme of things, it's just an example where you'd like to see things move along and have specific dates and timelines. So that word delivery is one of the things that we would use in the statement today. And Chambers Ireland have used that as well.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much indeed. That's the Letterkenny Chamber President, Jimmy Stafford there. Some emails here. Brendan emailed to say, water outages throughout Inishowen enters its second day, leaving hundreds of homes without supply. And Irish Water issued no advanced warning. Home help teams report patients suffering anxiety and distress and uncertainty of supply for essential activities like in-house medical care, example, afraid to flush toilets, etc. Yeah, Inishowen seems to get an awful hammering. And I know I'll focus on Carndonagh. I mean, they said, Irish Water said, they put an update up saying they're aware of an issue in Carndonagh and that it would be fixed on, not last night, but the night before at 10 p.m. It still was off yesterday morning, but there's never an update. It's they give this sort of notional return time, and then nothing comes of it, and there's no further details. And people contact me and say, Greg, what's the story with the water in Carndonagh? I check with Irish Water, Ishk Aaron, and it says, a certain time, but that time passes, but there's no further updates and you can't get any more information. Right, okay, we had Young Fine Gael on yesterday, yep, and they referenced, the gentleman referenced tax on booze and cigs, actually, which I thought, well, that's a strange one. It's not very attractive. Yep, alcohol and cigarettes, essential items, have to laugh. Young Fine Gael should demand for a cost manager in every section of the public sector. No wonder how their carry out. No wonder how a carry out has gone up in price. Okay, and loads more. I'll get to them in a moment. But our next guest is waiting to join me in the studio. And he'll be here after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
I was in pain with my right hip. going to different countries on a flight with the pain I was in wasn't really an option. I googled hospitals in Belfast and Kingsbridge came up.
Republic of Ireland residents can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up? Fresh colour for your walls? Or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 32575.
At Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, the stars shine brighter. This isn't just a trip to the movies, it's a VIP experience. Sit back in luxury as your favourite pizza,
yummy,
hot food and a cold drink are delivered right to your seat in any studio. But for the ultimate treat, step into the Director's Lounge, our most popular destination. Enjoy the film, enjoy the food and savour the experience. Only at Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane. Summer toys at Tinny's Toys. Everything for an outdoor summer. Swings, slides, trampolines, goalposts, rebounders, sand table, wheelbarrows. Of course, we also have our massive range of kids, pedal and electric toys. Need something for those rainy days? Well, we've that covered too, with the likes of Brooder Toys, Lego, Marvel Toys, books and more. Call into our store on the Leck Road, Letterkenny, or shop online at tinnystoys.com. Tinny's Toys, much more than just farm toys. Down boy.
Experience. Experience the Football Championship quarter-finals this Saturday at Croke Park with Monaghan v Donegal at 4 p.m. and Tyrone v Dublin at 6:15. The GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. Experience the unforgettable. Sponsored by Allianz, AIB and SuperValue. Advanced ticket sales only at GAA.ie or selected Centre and SuperValue stores. GAA, where we all belong.
Okay, in studio with me now is John McLaughlin, the Chief Executive of Donegal County Council, because Donegal County Council will join local authorities across Ireland tomorrow to mark the Council's Day, or Your Council's Day, a national campaign promoting the vital work of city and county councils and the people behind the services that support our communities every day. And it's a big team, John. Good morning to you, by the way. It's a big team working with Donegal County Council. And I mean, often, we hear what councillors, the issues they're raising or what the public is raising, but there's a big team there working away, keeping the county ticking over all of the time.
Yeah, good morning, Greg, and I'll start with a big team. We have about 1,200 employees in Donegal County Council. I just might add, and I heard Jimmy Stafford talk about employment, we're short of employees too, and we're a good place to work, so I'd encourage people to apply to us. We're probably short between 60 and 100 employees today. Good jobs, good careers in Donegal County Council, and particularly people looking for a 20, 30, 40-year career. We're a good place, so just look us up, and we're online. People can get that, and we're always encouraging people to come here, and people return to work in Donegal as well.
Is there anything there that would seem like a natural fit for me?
I think so. We've been looking at it a bit now, and I'll take it now a little bit longer.
All right, okay, have a look,
Yeah,
see if there's anything I can squeeze into.
Yeah.
So how many jobs did you say are available at the moment within the council?
We're short about between 60 and 100 most
60
days,
and
yeah.
100,
And we're looking to
okay.
grow and do more things as well.
Yeah, so those positions are there, they're funded, and it's just getting the right candidates to fill them.
Correct, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
okay, that's quite impressive. That's like a decent that's a decent percentage of your total workforce that
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
People would say in this type of organisation you can be down maybe 3 to 6% any time between retirement, replacement, and so on. But we're higher than normal, and we're finding it hard just to get the recruitment, and it's just an employee's choice at the moment.
Right. Okay. There you go. We heard you reference Jimmy's interview there, talking about vital projects, and the pace of projects can be really quite frustrating. The 10T is a big one. Just whilst I have you, and we're going to talk much more about the council and its role and all that in the next 25 minutes. But where are we at with that project?
Yeah, 10T, and I absolutely share your view. Big projects take a long time, and they take even longer now in the last few years in terms of the environmental process and the consenting process. And you have to dot every I and cross every T, and they don't get through if you don't. And very frustrating for our own staff and people running those, and particularly so for the general public that see delay after delay. 10T, and we rebranded 10T around about 2008 at the downturn. That you started about maybe 25 years ago, talking about the Bunagee Link and the other roads. So it's a long time in the making. But looking forward, where we're at now, we're almost ready to go in for what's called the CPO and the stadia process. We're making more revisions as standards change. We have to update. So that's going through the process now in the summer, and hopefully it'll submit now to on board Malala in September. And then goes through their consenting process, and there's no guarantee in terms of their timeline nor the outcome. So that's why we put a lot of stock into getting it right going in, and having all the reviews done on the design, the planning, and the legal process as well. Very important. So that'll be completed now, hopefully in the summer here.
And I'm not sort of connecting you to anything. I'm making this comment though. I wonder. Has the A5 project been delayed perhaps at times because there hasn't been the level of scrutiny or legal checks and all that kind of stuff? Is that why we are continuously seeing successful legal challenges? You can comment on that if you wish, but I presume the idea being that this process ensures that when it's ready to go, and it's passed all the hurdles correctly and conform to everything it should.
Well, yeah, and that's the expectation, Greg, and I wouldn't comment on the A5 apart from just absolute disappointment here. That's a critical link to the Northwest, as you know, and we're lobbying that for 25 years as well. We also see now in our own in Galway got stopped in Europe in the last hurdle as well. So there's a number of ones there. It comes down to judgment. You do absolutely everything you can do, and that's what we're doing. And then you expect the process to carry through.
Do you anticipate that the likes of the 10T project, it's a massive scale project, could be undone by climate action plans or what have you?
I think we can't talk that way today.
Yeah.
We're looking to get it done. We need it done for the Northwest. You start talking it down. I think, not saying you're talking it down, Greg, but we can't.
No, I get exactly where you're coming from.
It's absolutely needed, and regardless of what type of vehicles might be travelling on it in the years to come, it's a needed link. There'll always be transport needed to the Northwest, whether it's food or business and so on, whether it's cars on it, or lorries or electric vehicles or buses or whatever. Still need that proper link, and it's absolutely vital. So it's absolutely has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, we're not sort of building luxury projects here. We're actually trying to catch up. These are essential projects, regardless, as you say, of how people, whether it's an ICE engine or an electric vehicle or whatever it might be.
We did modify it over the years to actually take account of climate and the new policies. So you'd find a lot of electric components along with it, and cycleways and so on now that weren't in the original one. Trying to make it as friendly to the environment as possible.
Yeah, the Chamber also referenced the Market Square. Is that a council-led out project? And they want a date for diggers on the ground. I'm not expecting that from you today, but I think that's the kind of frustration that they have. What is the status there?
Yeah, I don't have the date for the diggers on the ground, but I know that's like a number of ones, Leonard Kenny. It takes time to work through it. But as I understand, it's fairly close to the Market Square one at the moment.
All right,
a lot of good designs done for it.
Another thing the challenge that we're facing, and I think we're facing here particularly, is in terms of housing. And the one message I seem to be getting consistently from national government is they believe that councillors need to be doing more to deliver housing. What does that look like? And do you accept that maybe Donegal County Council needs to be doing more to deliver housing?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting take, and I get that as well nationally. I hear it, and we've been doing that. But the items been said, for example, we're saying councillors haven't zoned enough land for planning. We've found we've zoned maybe twice as much as we need. In fact, we've been written to actually zone less, and directed to zone less, so it doesn't correspond with that national picture. But we have enough land zoned for in terms of the housing at the moment. We're building our target. We were given a target of 800 houses to build for the social housing. We're aiming to get maybe 1,200, 1,500 done in that timeline. So we're ahead. Even though we'd accept, Greg, with that being ahead, it's still not enough. And housing projects take a long time now as well, and getting them the services, electricity and water and sewer and so on. Big projects now take a long time. Even though this year we're starting to get a decent pipeline on the social housing. But we're seeing really two other things that add. The other pathways for housing, what's called cost rental and affordable and so on, They don't work in Donegal. The model was never intended for Donegal, and they don't work. So that's an avenue is missing for people that perhaps are a little bit above the social housing income.
Why don't they work here?
Just the model, when you look at what's offered, it does not work.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, the other part is, say, in Donegal, we need to try and have the private sector activated more for private sector housing. There's very little been built in Donegal at the moment, so it's not just we need a mix of houses all around the range.
You do hear from some developers criticism of Donegal County Council, and them sort of saying, well, we want to build houses there, but for various reasons it's too complicated, or we can't agree on the right price, or there's quibbles, and we'll just take our money elsewhere.
Yeah, we hear that too. I would say quite a lot of people are building for us. A lot of the conversations around price, and we're very conscious of price. We can, as a state body, we don't want to put up the price so high that it drives everything up, and we're held to certain.
And I do see, and not talking about any specific cases because I don't know really off the top of my head what case I might be talking of. But at the end of the day, too, I do understand there is a responsibility that the taxpayers' money is spent wisely and not used to sort of rush to deliver a certain amount of units, and then every action has a reaction, and next thing, the cost of everything goes through the roof as well.
No, and that's expected of us, and we have all the national figures, and Donegal have target figures as well, so we try and stick to those within a few percent, and depending on the specifics of particular sites, we make adjustments, but there's no doubt there's a lot of lobbying for more money.
How concerned are you about our sort of infrastructural capacity to build? Milford, the Milford area still is in a hose pipe ban as they describe it. Irish Water, Eaggan has warned about potential shortages in Buncrana, Letterkenny. I think the Twin Towns was Glenties mentioned. I think, and that's Eaggan. Okay, the council, works with them, but can't really decide how it spends its money. How big of a challenge is infrastructure in project delivery? Because really, theoretically, can you add another house in Milford if they're already out of money? It's not a literal question, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do know, absolutely, and we share that concern. And even Letterkenny, our biggest town here, huge challenge for social housing schemes, 2 big schemes. Will we get a water connection or not? Big challenge, a lot of negotiation to do. But Letterkenny, like the other towns, they need massive investments. But I think to look at the positive, for the first time, government's talking about creating a new strand of funding for Irish Water to build those gaps. There's lots of pipe work missing, Letterkenny, for example. Other towns the same, so there's no capacity. And then it's very difficult to understand, even for the public, that us as a public body looking to build public housing, Irish Water, another public body funded by the same department, and yet we could be building houses that difficult to get a water connection or sewer connections. That needs to come together and needs more investment.
Yeah, because running alongside that too, aren't they I've seen documents in the past talking about the potential population of Letterkenny, but that's just a pipe dream if you don't have the homes and the infrastructure for them.
Yeah, no, it's a good example. Letterkenny, we need to develop south of the river. That needs massive investment to get it going. Both the bridges and the roads, the water and sewer and broadband and so on, to allow the first house to be economically built. And that's what we need for Letterkenny to grow. And so far, we have been able to get that type of investment.
One other thing on housing just for now. Are you frustrated at the lack of progress in a scheme to deal with defective concrete block affected social housing?
Oh, absolutely.
Do we know what the choke point is there?
No, we always think we do, but the reality is we actually thought we would have a scheme 3 years ago, and it gets pushed off, and meanwhile houses are getting worse and worse, and more frustration builds up with a number of houses boarded up that make our figures look very bad in terms of houses underutilised in Donegal. But it is what it is in that regard.
Right, okay, that's interesting because, say, for instance, I think it was aimed to, they did a freedom of information and it identifies how many social homes are not in use. Our figures are going to be skewed because some of those are DCB-affected homes that are unlivable. And
Correct.
You can't go in and turn them around in 10 weeks.
Yeah. No, we have reported that because of those figures. There's a block there that's boarded up.
Yeah.
There's also a block was put in there as unused ones. There are new houses not rented yet, and then there's the ones there, the routine ones.
Okay. Do we need to do more to turn around houses that people move out of or become vacant, or how are we? What's our turnaround figure like?
Yeah. I think we can always do better.
Yeah.
It depends on the circumstances. There's a lot of things that play there. If a house is in regional condition, turn around very quickly. But if you want to do a wholesale deep retrofit and repair everything, it takes much longer.
Okay. the council then talk to us about maybe some of the work the 1,200 odd staff and the authority as a sort of unit does that maybe is not quite as commonly known or widely reported.
Yeah, but I suppose and I think the press really talked over 1,000 services. Most people are familiar with roads, and then roads is one broad heading, but there's several things, from the road maintenance, LASs, the other active travel we do, range of roads, housing, same thing. Done a lot of for housing estates, tenants, so on. With the tidy towns, for example, and environment, a lot of push environment out, biodiversity. We have a biodiversity office for the first time. A lot of work on climate action, climate change, and trying to do some within the council and to bring the wider public along there as well. And that's a long scale journey. We run the coroner service, for example. We pay through that. We had the vets up until recently, up until Christmas, for the food safety. We handled the dog warden service, for example. Regeneration, you mentioned the Letterkenny one. We're doing that all around the county now. Recently, we were involved in integration for the new visitors to Ireland and given different roles overnight there. We handled the major emergency. For example, Storm Owen, excuse me, we're told on a Sunday night, stand up humanitarian centres. We hadn't done, but we were told to get them up tomorrow. And we did it, along with the help from the public. So we get called on a short notice sometimes as well, as an arm of government, the local government.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, isn't there? Yeah. And the fire service, did you mention the fire service?
Didn't mention fire service, they're part of the emergency service, always called on, So we were there yesterday, where we got Council of the Year, end of last year.
Well, that's it, I was going to say that, because, I do see time and again the local authority get national recognition for the work that it's doing in Donegal.
No, and we're very proud of that, in fairness, and everybody should be, even though at times we come under a lot of criticism for what we're not doing. We're doing a lot of good things, and that's a group nationally looking at Donegal. It's the first time we ever got it out of 31 local authorities, and we got 2 back-to-back there at the end of last year, so we're very pleased with that.
You can't respond to everything that's said or try and sort of, fix every perception. But a lot of people contact this show very angry at Donegal County Council about water leaks.
Water leaks?
Yeah, but that's Iscaran's responsibility now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. And water leaks historically very high. Almost half the water leaked in the country.
Yeah, and it still is high up here as well,
high,
too,
so
which is crazy.
It's massive investment.
Yeah. I'll ask this, I don't know if you can comment on specific projects. Hi, Greg, why is there a big new, we were talking about housing, why is there a big new council house estate lying empty in Carndonagh? It must have been completed 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, the operative word there, it's not a council estate. There was negotiations there which broke down.
And this referenced what we talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And you, the council having to stand its ground on cost, really.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and we've made our best and final offer there, and that one is an example. And we wanted those houses. They were initially been built for us, but it broke down, and there comes a point where you have to say, well, look, you have to move on.
You have to walk
then
away.
We built other houses in Carndonagh that are under construction right now.
Okay. Please ask John, has he jobs for the LA staff that aren't moving over to Irish Water? They're telling LA staff that we have no jobs to fit their grade.
That sounds like one of our employees. It's not a choice we have. We're obligated. They're currently our employees, so they have to be kept on if they want to stay. So that's no problem. And we have jobs. We're trying to fit them in as best we can. Now, people with a lot of experience in water, it might not always be a natural fit. And a lot of them are going to the road service, which is most of the correspond. But some have moved, and some are applying, and actually turning us down as well. But it'll be mixed. That'll run on at the end of next year.
I think when you have any large group of staff, change is difficult.
Yes.
Even in here, you know what I mean? If we had a recent change of CEO, and we know Sean, and Sean's great, but there is always a bit of a you know what I mean. There's an unsettling feeling until everything settles down.
Yes, no,
if you know what I mean.
I could liken your change of CEO. We have a new council every 5 years, or some new councillors, so that's a change as well. And we have changes every day, and we get changes from the government and through our own staff to bring in someone new takes time, and not everyone likes it.
Yeah, of course. Where do you see the future of local authorities? Like, have they enough power or enough authority? Do you have any personal views about sort of, where we're at or where we were or where you'd like to see us go?
Yeah, well, Ireland is a very centralised structure. It's largely ran from Dublin, and that's well recognised. Interesting enough, the programme of government has a new local democracy, what's the right word, ambition, and that's currently been set up to look at that, to examine what should be done local, what's central. But it's I think to actually have decisions locally, you have to have some money to spend as well locally, enough to make the decisions. Otherwise, if you're depending on the money coming from a central government, then it lessens your power. We are probably one of the fewer representatives locally than some other countries in Europe. But overall, it generally works, the system, even though people say more and this and want to do that. Then, of course, sometimes when you get local powers, you have to take some tough decisions as well. There's a mix there. But
yeah, and of course, too, the sort of internal revenue income, be it, I suppose, business rates or local property tax, and there are presumably other sort of income revenues, but they're the ones that get all the attention then, don't they, when it comes round? Because you sort of you set your budgets up and say, look, this is what we have to achieve or what we want to achieve. This is how much we can sort of rely on from Dublin. This is how much we have to raise. And those small areas that you have opportunity to raise and become very, very, we focus on them and they become very controversial.
Oh, yeah. Those small areas would never fund Donegal. Let's be realistic, yeah. And all counties outside the Dublin sphere are relatively, find it hard to fund themselves. Maybe Cork City. So we're always dependent on central government supports. And that's the way our centralised system takes about the tax are all taken into the centre and they're divvied out. So it's a control as well.
What do you do for fun, John?
Well, yes, yeah. I know.
Like, how long's your term now? What I should know this, but
yeah. Well, my contract for 7 years, and then there's the option.
So you're like the president.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm like the president, but the contract for 7 years, then there's an option to extend for 3. Generally, that's the rules.
Yeah.
You can never stay longer than 10 years in these roles now by law.
And how long are you in now for?
And actually, interesting enough, it's 5 years in July, but the first 6 months was temporary, so 4.5 of 7.
Okay, and is it too early to say whether you feel you need the 10 to get the work done that you need to do?
I think it wouldn't be an announcement of making Highland Radio today.
Why not?
Yeah. I think there's a process for that, how that gets done, Greg.
Probably starts at home.
Yes.
It starts at home and then outside the home.
Yes.
So what do you what do you do? What do you do in your own time?
Yeah, no, I like go hiking and walking and actually have inherited a farm at home as well. So I do a little bit part-time farming at home as well, and limited now because of the job. But yeah, and travel.
Yeah, and hiking, walking around the county, obviously.
Yeah,
do you travel with groups? I didn't realise there's a few different people around the place. You chat to them. They take walking very, very seriously, and it's so social as well. Some people like to do it on their own. Others get with groups and head around the place.
I connect with family usually. Yeah. Go away with others. Yeah, but not in hiking groups.
Yeah,
but some wonderful places to go in Donegal.
Where's your favourite?
Well, we recently did the one at Oris, which I hadn't done completely, and then not too far from myself. Yes, and then you have Eaggan. Eaggan is a good one to do now with the steps. Makes it much more accessible. So yeah, loads of places. Even down your own area there in the south, Donegal.
Yeah, of course. We've got our own. We've got our own stuff going on there. But isn't that the thing about this county, John? Wherever you go, you could make a very legitimate argument for being the nicest part of the county, if that makes sense. It's different, and the people are the same, but they're different everywhere you go. It's the most amazing county, I think, in that regard.
Yeah. No, and I was away in the US for 13 years. When I came back, I got to see that better actually. When you return,
took a step away from it.
Yeah, and you see everywhere's good. In fairness, and I'd say it's true. Also, even I shouldn't be saying, but even all the west of Ireland, there's spectacular places all along the coast.
100%. Yeah, but I haven't. The reason I'm a bit hamstrung because I haven't really probably did the deep dive into that I perhaps should have. But, I mean, the whole west coast is
but
wonderful.
What makes the difference, I think, is the people as well. And we still have friendly people with a friendly disposition. You could talk to people in small towns and so on without feeling afraid or any of those things. Or and that wouldn't happen everywhere. When you go overseas, sometimes just a different mindset on that.
All right, okay. Listen, John, thanks very much for joining us. Tomorrow, how can people celebrate it? I suppose, as I say, we often hear the dissenting voices, but there's lots of people have good things to say about the council. You can do so on social media using the hashtag #YourCouncilDay. I presume your teams are going to be at that.
Our team are pushing out on our social medias, starting early tomorrow, and some of our stories from our district, what people are doing. Try to get a flavour for those things that are a bit further away as well, and what people are doing. So it's intended to actually to shine a good light, obviously, in the council, but for our own community should feel positive about that as well. What's going on, and I just say as a final, we're spending 200 million every year in a revenue budget in Donegal. That probably reaches every parish. Some people don't even know that kind of money creates an economy in itself. And on top of that, we have a massive capital program of almost 2 billion over the next 4 years. So lots of money spent, and I think lots of impact. Sometimes people look at the council only because of maybe what you enforcement and so on, or planning or things you don't get. But lots of other, we affect people lots of other ways, from the playgrounds, the parks, and everything else, and arts and culture.
Yeah, and engaging with the diaspora, promoting tourism, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
All right, John, listen, it's been lovely having you in. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Greg.
That is John McLaughlin, Chief Executive of Donegal County Council.
The countdown is on. Just a few months until Highland in the Sun hits Salou. Just picture it. This September, from the 14th to the 21st, you can enjoy 7 nights bed and breakfast plus dinner in the beautiful 4-star Sol Costa Jurado Hotel with airport transfers in Spain included. You will enjoy 7 nights of the music that you love, including Mick Flavin, Claudia Buckley, Johnny Brady, Dominic Kerwin, and many, many more. Give yourself an end of summer treat by booking your getaway with Highland Radio and myself, David James. Contact Country Music Tours to book your place today on 074 9119 955. See ya in Salou.
Country Sundays at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny. This Sunday there's David James and his band, dancing from 9 till 11, admission €20, with support artist from 8:15, and there's music afterwards in McGettigan's Bar. On Sunday 6th of July it's Michael English, but this Sunday don't miss David James at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Until Sunday, Super Value Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak save 25%. Selected ranges like Pepsi and Cadbury, 3 for €5. Scan your Real Rewards card or app and get selected Ariel and Bold Pods 58-piece for just €10. And My Waddy 1 litre, 2 for €3. Make real summer savings at Super Value. DRS applies.
Meet the refreshed Volvo XC60 Hybrid, an electric SUV with a backup plan. Its electric range of up to 80 kilometers means you can do the daily commute emission-free. Then switch to the petrol engine for those weekend road trips without limits. Book your test drive at volvocars.ie and be the first to experience the refreshed XC60. Or explore all the other fully electric and plug-in hybrid cars available at McGinley Motors. Volvo Cars for life.
At Uisce Éireann, we're continuing to upgrade Ireland's water network to ensure a clean, safe and reliable water supply. When repair and maintenance work is required in your area, we want to make sure homes and businesses are informed. That's why we have a new free text alert service providing real-time updates for issues lasting more than 4 hours. Sign up with your mobile number and air code at water.ie. Uisce Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenny's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, breezy today with sunny spells and isolated showers at first. It'll become cloudy during the afternoon and evening with outbreaks of rain developing in the west, which will turn more persistent in the evening. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees. We'll be back after the news and obituary notices.
It's extremely big, it's extremely scary, and it's extremely good fun. Extreme Fun Fair, the most extreme fun fair to ever visit Letterkenny. From June the 28th to July the 13th at the Kiltoy Roundabout. See Facebook, Instagram or book now at extremefunfair.ie.
Rise of the mega finisher. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal the increase in farmers finishing thousands of cattle per year. Why suckler income surged in 2024. Find out what you missed from Sheep 2025. Farmers urged to prepare for significant tax bills. Minister Michael Healy-Rae on calendar farming, carbon tax and driving machinery. Plus, don't miss your free 24-page Irish Farmers Journal Junior for the young farmers in your house. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
At Screwfix, you can click and collect over 10,000 trade products in as little as 1 minute. So whether it's a power drill in Portlaoise or guttering in Galway, when you need it yesterday, just click at screwfix.ie and collect at your local store 7 days a week. T's and C's apply. Visit screwfix.ie for full details.
If you've got a smart meter, you should get an Electric Ireland smart meter plan too. Why? Because you can see a breakdown of your energy usage like never before. From heating, cooking, lighting and more. Now you can find out how much electricity you use by hour, day and type of appliance, making your usage clearer and your world brighter. Sign up to a smart meter plan at electricireland.ie. Smart meter required, T's and C's apply.
This July, sunshine isn't the only thing heating up. Nissan's 4K Your Way offer is now on at iMotors. Get €4,000 off your new Nissan Your Way as a finance contribution or a trade-in booster. From the bold new Qashqai, the sporty new Duke, to the stunning all-electric Ariya and the 5 and 7-seater X-Trail. The full range is road ready, but don't wait. Pre-sales are open and the summer 252 rush is on. Visit iMotors in Letterkenny or Malin.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The government has voted down an amendment brought before the Dáil by Donegal deputies Pearse Doherty and Padraig McLaughlin that would have exempted thousands of defective block homeowners from having to pay local property tax. The amendment called on the Finance Minister to, within 3 months of the passing of the Act, prepare and bring before the Dáil a report on the accessibility of LPT exemption for those that are affected by the crisis. Donegal Deputy Pearse Doherty believes that those families that continue to face a financial struggle to remediate their properties, at the very least, should not have to pay local property tax. He told Minister Paschal Donoghue in the Dáil that many homeowners are in a catch-22 situation as they fail to meet the damage threshold to avail of the exemption.
Can the Minister confirm that there will still be people who have tested their homes that are living in defective concrete block schemes, but because they are not able to satisfy at this point in time the damage threshold, that they will have to pay local property tax? Or is it the case that this amendment ensures that nobody with defective concrete block will be paying local property tax?
Well, Minister Donoghue, in response to Deputy Doherty, failed to confirm if the damage threshold would be reviewed to allow for LPT exemption to be expanded to include more defective block homeowners.
Deputy Doherty asked a further question to me there regarding the damage threshold, and I understand this refers to a pattern of cracks exceeding a certain number of millimetres, which I understand is 1.5 millimetres. But I do appreciate that by that kind of precision being there, it does mean then there would be some homes that might not be able to qualify for this exemption. But I am informed that approximately 1,000 homes are in a position to currently claim it.
An Inishowen councillor says there needs to be an end to water being supplied to other parts of Donegal from the peninsula until infrastructure issues are addressed. It comes as parts of Carndonna enter a second day without water, while businesses have been forced to close as parts of Clonmany experience 4 water mains bursts over the past week. Water is pumped from the Eddie Fullerton Pollen Dam each day to service properties in Letterkenny. However, Councillor Marshall McDermott has warned that this cannot continue at the expense of those living in Inishowen.
I've no issue with that water going to other parts of the county, as long as Inishowen is served first. And I think that Irish Water need to be sure that our area is served first and that we have adequate water supply before any other area gets it. But our big thing is at the minute is to make sure that Irish Water have a serious look at the infrastructure here, because what's happening at the minute cannot keep going on.
The amount paid out by Donegal County Council for pothole damage has almost doubled. According to Freedom of Information figures, last year the local authority paid almost €7,900 in pothole damage payouts, up 49% from €5,300 in 2023. Despite that, the number of complaints received by the council in 2024 was down 52%. The local authority received a total of 108 pothole complaints last year. Nationally, over 48,000 complaints were made between 2022 and 2024. The ASTI says it will seek an official resolution to teachers' concerns about the Senior Cycle Redevelopment Programme. It comes after 68% of teachers voted against a package of measures to support them in the new curriculum. The union says it will invoke dispute resolution mechanisms to try resolve the impasse. General Secretary of the ASTI, Kieran Christie, outlines some of the teachers' concerns.
A whole range of issues from resources and equity. We have major concerns around AI and training. And, we have concerns related to the subjects themselves in terms of their content and the assessment arrangement.
A leading cancer specialist says they won't stop the fight against smoking as long as cigarette companies exist. It comes after a report from the National Cancer Registry found almost 15% of all invasive cancers diagnosed in 2022 were caused by tobacco smoking. It says the government must live up to its promise to reduce smoking rates from 17% to below 5% this year. Professor John Kennedy is the head of Trinity St James's Cancer Institute, which recently received Comprehensive Cancer Centre status from the Organisation of European Cancer Institutes. He says we've worked hard to get the rates down, but the battle goes on.
We've improved our outcomes, or not necessarily outcomes, we've reduced the number of people who are smoking in Ireland through strategies such as taxation and the smoking ban over the past 20 years or so. But, the cigarette companies don't give up, so we shouldn't either.
Weather now breezy today, becoming cloudy this afternoon and evening with outbreaks of rain developing. Highest temperatures of 15 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notice is for this Thursday morning, June the 26th. The death has taken place of Bridget Gurley O'Mahony, née Whelan, Carrow Hugh Greencastle and formerly of 28 Mount Prospect Avenue, Clontarf, Dublin. Bridget's remains are reposing at her home from 5 o'clock this evening, where you're welcome to pay your respects from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock and tomorrow from 12 o'clock until 9 o'clock. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30 for 11 o'clock funeral mass in St Mary's Church, Ballybrack, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin, funeral director. The death has taken place of James Burke, Westbrook, Buncrana. Remains reposing at McLaughlin's funeral home, Lower Main Street, Buncrana, with viewing from 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock today and tomorrow. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock requiem mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Maureen Shields, née O'Donnell, Glenn Arra, Glen Carrigart, formerly of Ranafast. Her remains are reposing at her home in Glen, with rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. House private place from after the rosary until 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St John the Baptist Church, Carrigart, with interment in the cemetery adjoining St Mary's Star of the Sea Church. Funeral mass can be viewed on the Mave Parish Facebook page. And the death has occurred of Olivia Doherty, née Breslin, Pillar Park, Buncrana. Her remains will repose at her home from 11 o'clock this morning. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church for requiem mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time please from 11 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired to breast cancer, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Sean Murphy, funeral director. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. Dad, how does Mommy know a superhero called Quiva?
Quiva, Aviva. Mammy got new home insurance from the superheroes at Aviva.
Why are they superheroes at Aviva?
Because they helped her save 20%.
For 20% off home insurance when you buy online, it takes Aviva. Offer available when you take out a new policy online. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to minimum premium of €230 for home insurance, €115 for contents or buildings only. Home insurance is underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Aviva Direct Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
A caller says, I wish people would stop going on and on about climate change, climate action, climate commitment, climate justice and all that fear-mongering. It's all a scam, and as Donegal people, we have a duty not to be deluded by it. The climate has always been changing. There's a whether you believe it's down to human activity or not, there's an acceleration in change, I think. But anyway, that's your view. Build a dam for Letterkenny, says a listener, and leave the water in the Pollen Dam for the people of Inishowen. I think the big issue for the people of Inishowen is getting pipes that actually don't constantly burst all of the time. What about the ghost estates in Ramelton? Joe McHugh announced a big 22 million job the council were doing to fix this up years ago, not a spade on site yet. Another, why can we not bring life to derelict buildings in town centres that have now been bypassed where people in the past lived? These houses would be in walking distance of shops, schools, healthcare centres. The electricity and water connections are already in place. Indeed, and maybe the derelict properties grant, it is there. Or the vacant property grant, it's the same sort of a scheme. There is that option, but also I think you're right. There could be an enhanced scheme, along the same lines for town centres. It probably would require a little bit more money, etc. Is that the same company that was given €16,000 to name Irish Water? That's, in case you didn't hear in the first hour of the show, we referenced it cost $4,500 to name the Irish Children's Hospital Ireland, the Children's Hospital Ireland. Probably the same. It's the same process anyway. Hi, Greg. A few ideas for a name for the Children's Hospital: the Money Pit, and or the Taxpayer's Folly. They've got rings to them. They sound more like horses, to be honest with you. But yeah, I see exactly where you're coming from. Good morning, everyone on Highland Radio. Good morning. I've 2 hearing aids, and they usually need fixed twice a year at €120 for one aid to be fixed, so €480 a year. There used to be a grant that we were entitled to one fix per year for each aid. Now the famous government has it one fix every 4 years. Hearing aids are €2,000 each. Could you please contact a TD? Highland's great for highlighting our difficulties. Well, we'll chase that up as much as we can. I mean, a TD will probably go, God, that's wild. What difference would it make? I don't know. I wasn't aware of those changes. Thank you for that. Hi, Greg. The water has burst in Clonamany for 2 days in a row. They need to fix all the pipes ASAP. See, sometimes I think with our water infrastructure, you fix, and I've seen this actually with water, getting a pump at home. You improve water pressure or change a piece of piping, and then the water flows down, and there's very little as powerful as water. And next thing you know, it exposes the weaknesses in the next run of piping. So then you fix the leaks on that for ages, and then a couple of years down the line, you change that pipe, and then it pushes the leaks and the bursts further down the line. I mean, 46% of our treated water is being lost. I mean, that's a national disgrace. A caller says, I'll suggest that the new children's hospital is named the Hope National Children's Hospital. I think that's actually quite more of a pleasant one. I think they should just call the new children's hospital the Money Pit, and a couple of people calling it the Money Pit. There's a water leak beside me for 5 years now, and has been brought to their attention on several occasions, and it hasn't been repaired. So it's a consistent leak for 5 years, and you've raised it with Irish Water and still it leaks. I mean, how much water would have been lost from that pipe over 5 years, even if it were a trickle? Send us a picture if you can. Hi, Greg. Just want to ask your listeners if anyone in the county are having issues with Donegal County Council's parking app. Since Monday of this week, you're no longer able to pay for your parking via the app prior to 9 a.m. I work Monday to Friday, starting work at 8:45 and park in a car park in Buncrana that is in control of the council. I pay for my parking every morning via the app on the way to my work. I don't want to forget about it and end up receiving a fine. I no longer have this option for paying for my parking via the app at 8:45, meaning I'm heading to work and expected now to remember to pay for my parking at 9 a.m. It also appears that one can no longer pay at the parking meters prior to 9 a.m. either. I work in a company with quite a lot of staff, and we're now required to either remember at 9 a.m. to log into our app to pay our parking, or to return to our vehicles at 9 a.m. and pay parking via the parking meters. I find it an extremely sly move by Donegal County Council in that there will no doubt be an increase in parking tickets issued from the traffic wardens due to the inconvenience now caused. Thanks for raising this, and I'd be interested in hearing other people's thoughts on the issue. And whether there's any comment from the council regarding this change. Well, we're going to chase that up. Caroline, we have chased this up, or we're going to chase this up about the parking charges. Yeah, we have an inquiry in. We're going backwards, of course. That makes a lot of sense, that you can pay in advance for the parking for when the parking charge is applicable. So, of course, we're going to find out what's going on there. Maybe it's an app glitch. Has anyone else experienced that around the county? Let us know. 086 60 25,000, because I'm thinking too, if I was in Buncrana and I arrived to stay in B&B or something at 9 o'clock in the evening and went out, had a few drinks or whatever it might be, I couldn't pay for my parking from the app before 9. So that really doesn't make sense. It's counterintuitive. I doubt it's to try and catch people out, because I don't think the council operate like that. But it certainly is a change that needs to be addressed. Leave it with me. We're going to go. We're going to get some information for you in relation to that as we commit to do. That's precisely what we are going to do. Rightio. Let's see. I think we have a message in from someone via. I think Caroline, you might have deleted that, or Caroline, that voice message. You might have deleted it, or is it? You haven't given me the number. I don't know on the which text it is. But someone, I think this is it. Okay, yeah, but that could be someone telling me to F off again. Anyway, this is what someone believes about the presidency.
You're on there about a president election. I don't think we need a president in this country. I think it should be done away with. Money spent better.
Right, money spent better. That's one listener's brief point of view. Don't forget, you can send your voice messages in to 086 60 25,000 on WhatsApp. A caller says, why, they say 3 whys. Why do parents of twins and triplets get so much extra in benefits? Every child needs the same amount, you'd think. What makes these children parents need this anymore? What about families with kids with disabilities or cancer? So I was wondering, well, what's this all about? So twins or triplets. If you have twins, you get 1.5 times the normal monthly rate of child benefit for each child. For triplets and other multiple births, child benefit is paid at double the normal monthly rate for each child. I did not know this. That's quite interesting. So if you have twins, you get 1.5 times the normal monthly rate of child benefit for each child. And then if you have triplets, and these are rare enough, I suppose, or other multiple births, child benefit then is paid at double the monthly rate for each child. So it doesn't graduate down. So it's not like you get, whatever it is for child and then less for the subsequent children. Twins get 1.5 months equivalent, and triplets per child. I presume, is there additional costs, or why is that? I don't really begrudge anyone that. I didn't know about it though. What do you think? 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Can this be highlighted on Greg's show? Water off in Carndon, Mallintown, Mallinhead area for 48 hours because of a burst pipe. We were told at the start it'd be fixed within a few hours. Now we're told it might be tonight, yeah. And that I referenced that a little earlier on. That's the one that keeps slipping. Hard to get fresh information on it from my perspective anyway. Councillor Michael McLaughlin text in. Thank you to our local water crews who've worked throughout the night in the Dunfanaghy-Creasla area. However, people outside Creasla may still be affected for several hours by a water outage. Drimnagh in particular, as it's become challenging at present to balance the water out. Water everywhere except in your taps.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday the 26th of June, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €7,200 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S9, it's game number 26. The jackpot number is 25. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 7, 39, 17, 37, 61, 74, 48, 49, 67, and finally 20. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
B&Q's Big You Can Do It sale is back. Save big with loads of unmissable summer deals in-store and online. You can do it when you B&Q it. Ends 1st of July.
This July 18th and 19th, Gweedore comes alive with Salt Music Festival 2025. On Saturday 19th, experience The Stunning, the Sharon Shannon Big Band with Garen Noon, the Luke Combs Experience and many more. For more information and tickets, go to saltfela.ie. Salt Music Festival 2025. 2 days, one place, great music.
It's Dining and Garden Week at Easy Living Furniture. Enjoy massive savings both in-store and online with hundreds of special offers in our dining department. Plus get free delivery on all dining orders over £499. Looking to upgrade your outdoor space? We're also offering free delivery on all garden furniture orders. Perfect for creating the alfresco dining experience that you've always dreamed of. Shop now at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
If you have a cough, flu, sore throat, or if you're just feeling miserable, don't suffer through it. At McGee's Chemist, we have the expertise to help you feel better. Our pharmacists and experienced staff will recommend the most effective over-the-counter solutions and give advice on how best to manage your symptoms. At McGee's, we have a wide range of trusted brands and products to help you recover. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Now, we're joined on the programme by Professor Mave Eaggan, who is consultant obstetrician and gynaecologist and national clinic lead with SATU. That's an arm of the HSE. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
We have now the latest annual report of the country's 6 sexual assault treatment units. I suppose maybe before we talk about the situation in Donegal, what do you see as what stands out for you in the national picture, Mave?
I suppose since 2009, we've been collating national statistics for the 6 sexual assault treatment units. There's a unit in Dublin, Waterford, Cork, Mullingar, Galway and Donegal, and the aim is that nobody in the country is more than 3 hours from their nearest sexual assault unit. And year on year, we've generally been seeing an increase in attendances, although this year is fairly stable. This year and last year are fairly stable from the previous years. And I suppose the increase, sometimes people say, oh, is the increase a worry? And hopefully the increase is people seeking care and attention after they've experienced sexual violence, and being able to receive the appropriate care, so including if they need it, emergency contraception, preventative treatment for sexually transmitted infections, emotional and psychological support, forensic examination, for example, where we take DNA samples or specimens if that's relevant, and also follow-up care. Because this is something that happens to somebody, it's potentially the most stressful and unexpected experience that's ever happened to them in their life. So it's not appropriate for us just to see them once and send them off. So that's sort of the headline statistics as such are that there is no typical patient. There is no typical scenario.
But we are seeing increases in certain areas.
We are.
There's been an increase in the number of people that have been assaulted by 2 or more individuals, and also an increase in violence, I suppose, the use of weapons in instances of sexual violence, physical restraints also showing increases. So what does that tell us?
Yeah, it is a concern that the incidents that we are seeing are becoming increasingly violent, increasingly associated with injury, albeit that only a very small number of people had to be hospitalised after injury. Nevertheless, these are people who had a totally unexpected event happen to them and end up with quite significant physical and emotional trauma. And that is a concern. We also saw an increase in the number of people who were restrained by the neck, which is now a standalone offence of non-fatal strangulation. So it is a concern, and it's really important that as a society that we address this. And, you know, obviously there's a lot more discussion now about consent starting in earlier age groups in early secondary school. And that's all really important because this is not acceptable. And as a society, we need to counter this while we need to be providing support for people when they've experienced it. And indeed, by doing that and collecting metrics, collecting data, we can use that to inform ongoing initiatives and ensure that the care we provide is important and appropriate for the needs of the people who attend us. And we don't just see women. You know, sometimes people think that sexual violence is just within the remit of female patients. That is not true.
Yeah, 91% of people using SATU services last year were female, 8% were male, 1% identified as another gender or none. Is that are the demographics staying steady in terms of numbers, or are we seeing an increase or decrease in any areas?
Yeah, we're seeing a slight increase in the proportion of male patients over the last number of years. But interestingly, from the sexual violence survey, they did a large survey of the prevalence of sexual violence in men and women. The prevalence in men is probably higher than the proportion that we're seeing in the sexual assault unit. So again, we need to ensure that people know that the sexual assault services are there to respond to men as well as women and people of other genders.
In terms of the whole idea of it is that you come forward, you seek assistance, you seek help, you seek support. It's not a given that you have to report this to the Gardaí. That's the choice that someone can make, albeit that, if there's evidence to be gathered, that can be retained so someone can make a decision down the line. But a quarter of people who did not want to report the matter to Gardaí opted for a sexual health screen with no forensic samples taken. So that's 1 in 4 people who were clearly the victims of a sexual assault that chose not to report. As I say, that's their decision. But it would be interesting to dig a little deeper as to why they chose that path.
Well, the other thing is that there is no statute of limitations on sexual crime. So something can happen to somebody today and in 4 years' time, they can decide to report it. Obviously, if there hasn't been DNA samples taken, the DNA element can't be used in the adjudication or the investigation of the crime. But sometimes why somebody will come to us for a sexual health screen is that they're only actually disclosing an incident that happened maybe a month or so ago. And the time for DNA evidence has passed. So there isn't the sort of urgency for them to make the decision about the reporting. So sometimes it's not that they will never report, but just at that point, there isn't a point in taking DNA samples, because after 7 days, there isn't a point in taking DNA samples. But we will still see people. And I suppose what we need to remember is sexual violence is ultimately the withdrawal of somebody's choice completely. So it's really important in the sexual assault services that we provide people with choice, and we don't say this is the only way to do it. And fine, from a societal basis, we may really want people to report and because of the benefits of that for the rest of us, but equally the individual has to be in the right time and space to make that report. And as I say, the benefit is there is no statute of limitations, so someone can report something today that happened many years ago.
It is better, of course, if a person who's the victim of one of these crimes gets into the local SATU as soon as is possible, even if they're undecided, because they may choose to have forensic samples taken, which are stored for a year. So that gives them plenty of space to decide what they want to do next, but it also means they have evidence for whenever they make that decision, if it is to proceed. And again, though, that is up to each individual, but just know in the back of your mind that you cover all of your options and hopefully get the very best of care the sooner you attend.
And there's always someone at the end of the phone, just making that call can be the hardest thing to do, but equally people shouldn't feel that they're going to be pushed into making a decision very quickly. There is time.
Well, there's no pushing at all, is there? It is completely up to, there's guidance.
Yeah. And it's about hearing. Like, the thing about it is that people often have never considered what they do because they don't imagine this is something that's ever going to happen to them. So, it is important when it does happen, or if it happens to somebody known to you, that you support them to get the advice and options available to them.
There can be really high-profile historic cases, or maybe someone in the local community is before the courts or what have you, and it triggers something in someone to say, right, I'm going to come forward now. Do we know the breakdown of recent assaults versus historical assaults in terms of SATU attendance?
Yeah, so in terms of people who attend the sexual assault units, the much greater number are recent incidents. So within the past week, within the past month. While we will sometimes see people where an incident has happened a long time ago because they're worried they may have contracted a sexually transmitted infection or had some kind of injury or anatomical disruption at the time. Most of the people, by virtue of the work we do in SATU, most of the people are more recent incidents. Whereas with An Garda Síochána or rape crisis, in terms of emotional support, the balance may be more tipped towards people who are a long time since the incident. And those supports do exist. And the rape crisis phone line is available around the clock from any part of the country, and indeed from international. I mean, we've had people where incidents have happened internationally and they have phoned the rape crisis phone line. So it is important that people know there's also emotional support, as well as the kind of legal part or the medical part.
Do you find that, obviously the population has grown significantly in recent years, and people have come from different parts of the world and may not necessarily know what services are available locally or what have you? Are you seeing the population change reflecting, or maybe, I don't know if this is even counted, reflecting proportionally to the changing demographics?
Yeah, certainly. While the majority of people that we see them after incidents that happened in Ireland, and they are people who are born in Ireland. Every year we see a significant proportion of people who weren't born in Ireland. And in fact, we have access around the clock to interpretive services, and we report each year the proportion where we needed interpreter services, which generally range between 2 and 4%, and up to 70 languages. So that's, and rape crisis equally have interpreter services as well. So we try to be responsive to the needs of the people that we see. But it is important that we also make sure that our education and our outreach informs people, not just people who are born in Ireland, but an instance happened in Ireland, but inform people throughout every layer of society, and every group, that they know the services exist and the services can be accessible for them too. And indeed, every year we see people where incidents happen abroad. So they may happen on holidays and the person comes back to Ireland, or by virtue of an incident that happened, the person has become an applicant for international protection from abroad. So there can be huge complexity in terms of the cases that we see. But the important thing for people to know is that there is care there is services there. And it is important that people know that they won't be pushed down a particular pathway of reporting. They won't suddenly find themselves in a court without knowing what's happened to them. They absolutely will be supported all the way along to make the decision that's right for them at the time. Yeah.
And just to remind people again that the sexual assault treatment units in Letterkenny and wherever are for men and women as well too. So the men are reflected in there. 8% of those engaging with the services, not just shy of 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 12, are men, and those services are there. And there's no shame at all in going and seeking support if you're a victim of a crime. Obviously, you're dealing with people who are victims of crime, and then there's the sort of societal attention as to how we find ourselves here. If you look at the increase in violence, if you look at the age profile, half of those attending under 25, the average age 28. There's other things that need to happen about education in terms of consent and what have you. I know there are some efforts, but we need to do more. People being found guilty of these crimes and people knowing that there are convictions and what have you, and just trying to change our attitude, our respect for each other, what is right, what's wrong, what's yes, what's no, to try and bring these numbers down, because you can only be there to assist anyone that reaches out, right? But outside of that, we also need to figure out what's going on. We shouldn't be going in the direction we're going.
And what's equally as important is the role of the bystander. So, for example, when people witness bad behaviour between two others, they witness a peer making derogatory comments or pushing somebody into doing something they don't want to do, that the bystander has the strength to stand up and say, that's not acceptable. And we call people out, and we talk about it, and talk about difficult scenarios or near miss scenarios or whatever, in order that we try and mitigate the risk of those happening again. And equally, I think the consent conversation, you're right, it's starting, but it's so much better than it was. I mean, I went to university in the 1990s. Nobody ever talked about consent, workshops or anything like that.
But you didn't also have really high profile personalities pushing the men can do whatever they want agenda too for their own financial gain. So it's actually even gotten, You know, that's why we have to make sure we use the right voices and reach the right people to counteract that narrative that's out there, that someone says no until they say yes, or whatever it might be, you know. But yeah, things have changed.
And CUAN, who are the statutory agency through the Department of Justice, are doing a lot of awareness raising as well, you know, in terms of, you know, media advertising and appropriately placed you know, public awareness campaigns. And I think we can't ever tick the box and say that's done. We need to continue on these discussions. And you know, it is also really good when high profile people also tell their stories and what's happened, and people who have, you know, completed cases and waived their right to anonymity, which must be a really difficult thing to do, and highlight the journey that they went on, and you know how difficult it was, because obviously a criminal case can take a number of years to come through, and the person's life is almost on pause in that context. So there are a lot of really, really strong and brave people who are really helping this story.
Yes.
And it's just important that we don't rest on our laurels, and that we ensure that we continue to advocate for supports and continue to provide support and care bespoke to what people need.
All right, thank you so very much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. That's Professor Mave Eaggan, who's consultant obstetrician and gynecologist and national clinical lead with the sexual assault treatment units with the HSE. 91% of people using SATU services in 2024 were female, 8% were male, 1% identified as another gender or none. And what else did I want to mention? Yes, the Letterkenny Centre reported a modest increase in the number of people using their services. But just the things to note, there's been an increase in victims of sexual assaults by 2 or more individuals. It increased to 10% in 24 from 9% in 23, 7% in 22. And physical violence, the use of weapons in instances of sexual violence, more than doubled to 7% last year, with physical restraints, often choking, strangulation, being used in 36% of all reported cases. And that worries me. That really does worry me, because it's something you see, you know, it's something you would see sort of where a lot of young fellas, primarily, and women, get their sexual education. And unfortunately, that's on porn sites, and that seems to be a feature. All right, back with more after these.
Who the hell are you? Get ready, Donegal. Highland Radio is throwing a party like no other. It's the Big Highland Summer Bingo Party, hosted with me, Keith Fletcher,
and me, Lee Gooch, Hawaiian shirts, hulas, how the hula are ya? Big laughs and even bigger cash prizes. With €1,000 off for grabs, expect big party tunes, madness, and just a little bit of mayhem.
So, Saturday the 2nd of August at Jackson's Hotel, Ballabafay.
You better get your tickets quick on Eventbrite.com.
Hey, what? Is it over 18s?
You better mention it's over 18.
And it's over 18s.
Since I switched to Hidden Hearing, I can hear it all. You could save up to €3,000 off invisible hearing aids. Save when you switch to us, upgrade, or save on your very first hearing aids. Pre-phone 1-800-370-000. Switch and save at hiddenhearing.ie. You should go to the hearing experts. T's and C's apply.
Want a new Kia? Call to Heron Auto Donegal to arrange your test drive on our 252 Kia range, where quality customer care comes first. We have 0% finance available on all EV models. Visit Heron Auto on the Killybegs Road to test drive and order your 252 Kia and receive a €500 Super Value gift card. Drive with confidence. Drive with Heron Auto.
Is your little one starting big school this September? At Dunnes Stores, we've got you covered for those memorable milestones. From waving goodbye at the gate to snapping that first proud photo in their new uniform. Feel confident as they take their next big step with quality schoolwear. Pick up a 3-pack of Playproof polos from €5. Pair these with Easy Care joggers also from €5, plus a comfy sweatshirt from €3.75. Shop back to school in-store and online now. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Worldwide travel made easy from Donegal Airport. Twice daily Aer Lingus flights via Dublin connect you to Aer Lingus and Qatar's global network. Enjoy a smooth journey. Book now at aerlingus.com and start your next adventure from Donegal Airport.
Big summer sale is on at Evolve Clothing. All your favourite brands, all reduced. Huge savings in store at Letterkenny Retail Park. Or shop online now at evolveclothing.com. When it's gone, it's gone.
John's with me now. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. You're living in Inishowen, and we were talking about water outages. You're a victim of this. What's the situation? Where are you?
Just outside the town of Carndonagh.
Right, okay.
As you head from Mobile, and this is the third day without a water supply. Now, I contacted Irish Water this morning, and the young lady I was speaking with, I assume she's a young lady, she asked me for my postal code number, and I gave it to her. And then she asked me for my bill number, to which I said to her, I'm a domestic consumer and we don't have bills. That's only for commercial. And then I said, where am I speaking to? Turned out she was from India.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't think she even knew where Ireland was or is. And my issue is with Irish Water there. And up to a few years ago, their head office was based just off O'Connell Street and Talbot Street in Dublin. And some of the people I spoke with there a few years back, where there was a water issue, hadn't a clue of where Donegal was. And not a clue. And I said to the person I was talking to, are you from Ireland? And he said, I am, but I've never been to Donegal. It's too far north. I said, Killarney is further south than where you are at the moment in Talbot Street. It's 230 miles to Killarney, and to get up here to Inishowen is 160. It take a mathematical genius to know that it's nearer to Inishowen from Dublin than from Killarney to Dublin. But my issue is that Irish Water is extremely badly run, and if we had the ESB run in the same manner as Irish Water, I would be without electricity in the rural area, and you too, because you're living in rural Ireland, for many a long month. They don't know where we are. They don't care where we are, whether it's in West Kerry, West Donegal. They just don't know.
I think
and they couldn't care less.
Even if you didn't know where Donegal was, or you didn't know where Inishowen was, if that's bad enough, you should probably know the structure of the company, i.e. residential customers don't pay for water, businesses do.
Yes. And to ask me for my bill number, my account number, when I heard that, I knew straight away this person hadn't a clue as to what was going on in this country in relation to the supply of water, domestic and commercial. Now, my issue is this, is that Irish Water was taken, Irish Water was formed, it was taken from the hands of the local authority, and you know as well as I do, well, I think you would, that your local county council knows every backyard, every tap, everything around the place, and fair dues to them, that is their job. Today, they're not involved, yet, not directly involved, yet when it comes to the necessary repair to be carried out, who's coming out to do it? Your local council people. They're the ones with the pick and shovel and the small digger and so on. Nobody from Talbot Street is coming up here. And I think it's wrong. They've gone. The government of Enda Kenny, after the crash, went down the same road as Maggie Thatcher by almost privatising Irish Water. Because when I say that somebody from Bangladesh or wherever it is answering me and hasn't a clue where, Ireland is not a mind in its own. I have a problem.
Yeah, well, Irish Water, Eaggan are now saying that your water won't be on till 7 p.m. tonight, and then you have to allow John, settle now, I haven't finished. 7 p.m. tonight, and then you have to allow 3 or 4 hours for service to properly resume. That's their latest update. So you're looking at
pressure to be built.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for the nonsense to be flushed out and what have you. I
appreciate. Yeah.
But it's
there has been a local issue where the burst pipe is. Now I'm speaking very colloquial.
That's fine.
This
we love
burst
that.
Pipe. Pardon?
That we love parochial colloquial stuff. Go on ahead. That's what we're here for.
Oh, well, okay. This burst pipe is not where the pipe is burst. It's not the first time it's happened in recent years, and it's on private property. And the gentleman who owns the property has an issue with the repair system that's been carried out, as a repair is not fit for purpose. And I gather, just a second hand, that he's insisting that a proper repair job be carried out or no repair job at all off my property. And I think he's right, because his property is being damaged by flooding water coming in from poor quality maintenance. So I don't blame him, whoever he is. I do not know. This is I call it second-hand information. But when two different people in two different places tell me the same thing, I have a tendency to accept. Now, I know that the local authority are doing their best to do X, Y, Z, but at the end of the day, the people who are really responsible, with their good salaries and guaranteed pension, which is more than you've got, if you don't mind me put it that way.
I don't have one, but yeah, you're right.
Well, you know, you're a commercial radio station that's being pounded day in, day out by a heavily subsidised radio station, and you're battling against the wind. When these senior civil servants don't know, understand, or care about rural Ireland. This morning I heard, actually, on RT radio, where a letter came in from a place called Letter Finish.
Mm-hmm.
And the two people that were in discussion about it made a rather joke of it. Letter Finish is a townland about 7 to 10 miles outside the town of Killarney,
mm-hmm.
which I think you may have a knowledge of.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the two people on RT radio at that time this morning was a Kerry person from the Gaeltacht. And when I just shook my head and I thought to myself, you people don't know your own map.
Mm.
Now, I have travelled the length and breadth of Donegal, and I think I know a fair bit of it. But however, let's get back to the water issue. Let me get back to the water issue. It is wrong. I'm in my 80s, and so is my wife. And now we're having to draw bottled water. Okay, we've been working out for 40 plus years of our lives in semi-state and state industry. Well, state, I should say, and private. And to have this, it's just wrong for the local authority not to have the powers to be able to go out and do the job without having to make a phone call to Dublin, and Dublin say, where are you? Okay, we'll allocate the money, and if the money is available, it's available. If it isn't available, we'll wait. Now, I know you told me that full supply is expected around 7 o'clock this evening. Pardon me. I can tell you if this happened a half a mile outside O'Connell Street, they wouldn't have to wait until 7 o'clock this evening. Definitely not.
I think that pretty much sums it up. John, listen, best wishes to you and your wife. Thank you so much for joining us. And I really do hope the water returns as scheduled. But it's already, the timeline's already slipped. I appreciate your time. Take care of yourself. Right, I have to take a very quick break. Back with our listener, James, after these.
The All-Ireland Championship rolls on for Donegal this weekend as Jim McGuinness's side return to Croke Park. Up next at the quarter-final stage is Monaghan this Saturday afternoon. Throw-in time at GA headquarters is 4 o'clock, and you can join me, Oisín Kelly, Brendan Denny and Brendan Kilcoyne for full live match commentary on Highland.
Donegal action in this year's championship is with Highland Motors in Letterkenny. Turn heads with the return of the all-new Renault 5, the European Car of the Year, with 410 kilometres range. Available from only €225 per month. This summer, the big top is calling. Summer Sessions Letterkenny presents the Human League, live on August the 21st for one unmissable night. Plus special guests including Nick Kershaw and the Undertones. And it's your last chance to grab the final tickets at summer-sessions.ie. Also rocking the Summer Sessions stage, the Saw Doctors with special guests. That's the Human League, August the 21st in Letterkenny, under the big top. Follow Summer Sessions Letterkenny on social media for all the latest updates.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
A seesaw, a staring contest, a high five. Some things are hard to do on your own. In business, becoming more sustainable can be one of them. That's why Bank of Ireland has introduced the Sustainable Business Coach. This free digital platform gives you guidance, support, and a practical plan to help you take your next sustainability steps. To get started today, search Bank of Ireland Sustainable Business Coach. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids
at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenny's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Okay, so the weather forecast, I'll get that up for you right now. Sorry, I was looking at another email there. And it's not fantastic for today. Breezy with sunny spells, isolated showers at first. It'll become cloudy during the afternoon and evening with outbreaks of rain developing in the west. It'll turn more persistent in the evening. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees. Now, you may have heard during Community Garda information that a dark-coloured stroke brown Lexus car appeared to have been involved in two instances where items were thrown from the vehicle, damaging other vehicles. There were two instances. The guards are not connecting them because they simply can't at this point, but the indications were that they may well be connected. And I think I have potentially one of the victims of that appeal on the line with me. James, thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg.
Right, so take us back. Saturday evening, it's daylight, 9:15 p.m. What happened?
I was heading home from work from Balbuffet, and I just hit the straight of the road there to Hall when I noticed a brown-coloured Lexus coming around the corner. It was basically over the white line, so I decided to slow my own car down, but as it got closer to me, a man got up through the sunroof. He had one hand resting on the sunroof and the other was down inside the car, but as he came forward to me, he let go of a bottle and struck the passenger side of the car. Now, I'm nearly 100% sure it was the driver was handing him the bottles because his hand didn't come up to the second time, and then he let go again, hitting the driver's side of the car. Then I quickly pulled the car onto the side of the road, but I was more focused on the man coming through the sunroof because I thought, this is dangerous. If anything happens to this car, this man could be out there. So I lost track of keeping my eye on the car. I kept my eye on him, like.
So were you moving, John? James, sorry, I'm not sure if you mentioned this. Were you moving, driving when this happened, or had you slowed down or pulled over, or what was the situation?
No, I was driving. I was actually on my way home from work.
Okay.
And when I seen the car coming, I slowed my car down to 50 kilometres an hour, but I was still going, like.
I get you. So in other words, you met the object, which would explain the damage, because you sent us in a picture, and for those watching the show, they can see it here now. And it must have hit at some whack, James. That's I can see two massive holes in the front of your car.
It hit with that much force, Greg. The bottles actually shattered. I could see them shattering in front of the car. But as I say, I was very glad that I did slow down, because if it had hit the windscreen, it would have put me off the road.
Well, I think, judging by the damage it did to the front of the car, and I know these windscreens are reinforced, but you wouldn't know what could have happened there either, with the glass smashing or even coming in or whatever. You could have been very seriously injured, and luckily you slowed down as you did. Was it clear that the person out of the windscreen was chucking these bottles at you, James? Is that his intent was to smash the bottles off your car, do you think?
Well, I believe the intent was there, Greg, because the whole time he came up that road, that he was out of that sunroof, his right hand was inside the car the whole time.
Yeah.
No, and he had his left hand was on the roof steadying himself, and his right hand was inside the car, so he had probably had a bottle in his hand at that time.
And
it didn't matter to me, Greg. Whoever was on that road should have been a learner, a learner driver, a pensioner, or anything. That they were going to get that bottle.
Yeah.
Just so happened it was me.
Absolutely crazy. And it seems, unless there were two dark stroke brown Lexus cars, it seems these people were responsible for another attack on another car. Whatever was going through their pea-sized brains.
Well, I did receive a message from another man at Ross Gear that the same thing happened to him with the brown-coloured Lexus as well, but he managed to avoid the bottles. But it was travelling on that road from Ross Gear to Stafford. If anybody had any dash foot cam there, he pulled out and passed 4 cars on that road.
Jeez. All right.
So I'm sure if anybody had dash cam footage, that they would show it to the guards. I would appeal to show it to the guards or anybody travelling from Ballybofey, say to Stafford round 9:30.
Yeah.
Have the footage as well, show it to the guards, because you may not think that anything happened.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Like, I mean, and there's significant damage to your car as well. I mean, these people need to be found and paid to fix your car, James.
Yeah. Well, as I say, Greg, I'm on here now in the garage here at the minute. I had her booked in for the test on Monday, which I had to cancel. That cost me money.
Wow.
I'm here now with the garage man trying to price to get her fixed. And I can tell you, it's not cheap.
No, because it's different if it was a dent. But however it's happened, and they've taken 2 holes out of it. So whether it's a patch job or panel job, who's to say? But either way, as you say, it's not going to be cheap. Right, James, we need to get some information. As you quite rightly pointed out, these guys were obviously up to other stuff. Dangerous overtaking. Someone's bound to have a dash cam. Someone's bound to get the number plate. It's not just you, it's another guy. There might be other victims yet to come forward, and this is just pathetic behaviour, James. Listen, we'll see if we get anything. We'll pass it on to you. Obviously, people can contact the guards directly. That's probably the best way of doing it. But one way or other, we need to find a resolution. Because it's a wild gunk as well, James, isn't it? It's a shock, because it feels personal. There's the bang. There's the damage to the car. Like, it's shocking for you.
It is, because, as I say, Greg, I was getting her ready for the test. I've already spent nearly £400 on her on the Friday.
Yeah.
And then to turn around and happen this on a Saturday, and then having to cancel my test.
Yeah.
But the person that sent me on the message from the Roski area, he got a partial plate, which I have forwarded to the Garda.
Okay.
But I don't know if they'd be able to work with a partial plate, but that's up to them,
Well, I would hope so. I'd hope so. Do you get the impression it's an English plate, Irish plate, Northern plate?
It's an English plate.
All right. And the only reason I ask is just in terms of being able to track it down. I'm not trying to profile who's responsible. It's just in case of the. But that car could end up in a shed till next June, as well. All right, James. Listen, I do hope you get it. I hope the car gets through. You get it fixed and get it through its test. Thanks very much for that, James. A real sickener, and 2 massive holes in the front of that car. His pride and joy. We're going to be back in the garden with Paul McLaughlin, Ballochdur Garden Centre. Probably, are we in the peak of growth at the moment? It feels like that. Maybe you've got some questions about what you can be doing around your garden, what you should or could or couldn't or shouldn't be doing around your garden, your hedge, your whatever it might be. I've time to address the parking app situation. Remember our worker in Buncrana? They were able to park the car in the parking, the car park in Buncrana, pay for their ticket at 8:45, head into work for 9. For the last wee while, they couldn't. They could only book the ticket at 9 or have to leave work to do so. Well, the council says the provider of the parking app has made a change to the app on Monday to rectify another issue. It had a knock-on effect and people can't pay early morning before the zone opens. However, they can pay using the future pay option and select the start time, example 9 a.m, and select the number of hours required. Developers are currently working on a fix for the issue. This has no change to the pay and display machine. So the answer is you can use you can in the interim use the future parking section of the app, but the developers are trying to fix that. So it is not the way it's going to be forever. Okay, so that's good news, isn't it? And hopefully after our inquiries, the developer gets a little bit of a rocket up the bum.
Would you like to experience the magic of Riverdance 30, the new generation? Come along with Highland Radio on Thursday, August the 28th for an unforgettable trip to Dublin's Gaiety Theatre. Enjoy luxury coach travel, a night stay at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel, and premium seats to the iconic show. Spaces are limited, so secure your spot today. Call us now on 074 91 25000 or visit the outlet at highlandradio.com.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
With MasterCard Priceless Experiences, the possibilities are endless.
You could be front row, screaming every lyric, discovering new destinations,
or a land of mouth-watering flavours. Register at priceless.com to unlock a world of priceless experiences. One place, endless possibilities. Priceless.
It's Dining and Garden Week at Easy Living Furniture. Enjoy massive savings both in-store and online with hundreds of special offers in our dining department. Plus get free delivery on all dining orders over £499. Looking to upgrade your outdoor space? We're also offering free delivery on all garden furniture orders. Perfect for creating the alfresco dining experience that you've always dreamed of. Shop now at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry, Londonderry.
The 5th Letterkenny Blues and Roots Festival takes place from Thursday the 3rd to Sunday the 6th of July. 4 days of great live blues, roots and folk performances, featuring artists from Ireland and around the world. Over 70 gigs in 13 different venues, plus street entertainment on Saturday afternoon. Don't miss the Letterkenny Blues and Roots Festival from the 3rd to the 6th of July.
60% off at Clare Clothing, Letterkenny, until this Saturday evening. Yes, you heard right. 60% off all stock. Everything must go. That's 60% off at Clare Clothing, Letterkenny.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Well, the morning's flying in for me anyway. It's 11 o'clock already, which means it's time for a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Health Minister has confirmed that she has still not received the business case for the Northwest Surgical Hub. There has been much backlash since it emerged that Sligo University Hospital was being put forward as the preferred location for the facility as opposed to Letterkenny. HSE Regional Manager Tony Canavan last week said Sligo remains his preferred location for the surgical hub. The government has voted down an amendment brought before the Dáil by Donegal deputies Pearse Doherty and Paddy McLaughlin that would have exempted thousands of defective block homeowners from having to pay local property tax. The amendment called on the Finance Minister to, within 3 months of the passing of the Act, prepare and bring before the Dáil a report on the accessibility of LPT exemption for those who are affected by the crisis. The Taoiseach says he's not happy with the way some countries have slowed down the process of Ukraine joining the EU. Micheál Martin will be raising the issue of Ukraine's accession to the Union at the European Council in Brussels today. It comes after Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban opposed the membership, saying it would destroy Hungarian farmers and the wider economy. An Inishowen councillor says there needs to be an end to water being supplied to other parts of Donegal from the peninsula until infrastructure deficits are addressed. It comes as parts of Carndonagh are without water for a second day, while businesses have been forced to close in Clonmany after it experienced 4 water mains bursts over the past week. Water is pumped from the Eddie Fullerton Pollen Dam each day to service properties in Letterkenny. Second Level Teachers Union, the ASTI, says it will advance the significant concerns of teachers around leaving cert reform. Under proposed changes due to be introduced in September, 40% of final marks will be awarded for project work, with the traditional exams in June carrying 60% of marks or less in the case of some subjects. The amount paid out by Donegal County Council for pothole damage has almost doubled. According to Freedom of Information figures, last year the local authority paid almost €7,900 in pothole damage payouts, up 49% from €5,300 in 2023. Despite that, the number of complaints received by the council in 2024 was down 52%. And Ireland's EU Commissioner says he has concerns over the safety of products coming into the bloc from China. Over 90% of parcels arriving into Ireland are from the Asian country. It comes as Revenue seized 11,000 illegal weight loss drugs in postal centres in the first 5 months of the year. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thanks so much, Michaela.
Aldi's uniform bundles aren't just great value. With a 2-pack of polo shirts, skirt or trousers, plus a cardigan or sweatshirt, all for less than €5, they also come with a 12-month satisfaction guarantee. So they're ready for all the thrills and, well, spills of a whole school year. Bring it on. On sale from 29th of June.
while stocks last.
A caller says, would you ask Irish Water why they emptied 1.5 metres of water from a reservoir supplying Buncrana in the midst of a water shortage? They said it was to prevent the banks bursting. There are no banks as it's a natural lake, all below ground level. They're now using a diesel-powered pump to extract the remaining water, which is below the level of the outlet pipe. I'd be interested in more information in relation to that. And although the water main was replaced in Navanny Street, Ballybofey, but they only went as far as the Centra shop. And according to the workers, there's still about 100 metres of old iron pipe left on that water main. They couldn't replace the old pipe because the council retarred that bit of road a few weeks before the replacement work started, and that new tar can't be dug up for 5 years. The old pipe is around 75% blocked with iron deposits, again, according to these workers. So instead of doing it all in one, and not have to look at them new pipes for years, they leave it. No sense. Now, that's one person's version of that. Interesting to see if that can be backed up. 4,500 to name the most expensive rip-off in the history of the state is an insult. How about the bottomless pit, the black hole? That's $3 million they owe me. Well, put in an invoice. They'll probably pay you. Greg, what's the current situation with the rebuilding of your defective block home? If you're building on the current foundations, will you still be able to get house insurance? That's where we're at. I don't know. And I'm not sure if there's a one-size-all-fits answer to that. If you did happen to rebuild on the old fans, now I know a lot of people are digging into their own pockets and taking the fans out because they are of the view that it's only a matter of time before they begin to disintegrate. I don't know. And I don't want to give sort of off-the-cuff advice. So if there's anyone out there, did you rebuild on your old foundations? What was the story with house insurance? Effectively, potentially, your building still contains deleterious materials, albeit maybe interacting with the atmosphere and what's around them in a different way. But is an insurance company going to think that nuanced? I'm not really quite so sure. 086 60 25,000, by the way, that is the contact for us right now. Minister for Social Education Michael Moynihan has confirmed to Pat the Cope Gallagher that Little Angels School Letterkenny is to have 2 additional teaching posts on foot of notification of enrolments received by school management. Now, I've been long enough in this game to not know if this is properly good news or not until such time as I speak to people directly affected by that. And one of those is Leonard Watson, a parent of a child in Little Angels School, and also on the parents' representation, or a parent's representative, should I say, on CDNT. So, Leonard, as I say, black and white, looks like good news. Is it so?
Oh, Greg, listen, at the end of the day, when there's ever extra staff being brought into a school, it is good news. We have to be grateful, but I still think the big story is the school's still not open yet. I met with Minister McConnell last week, and he guarantees the school will be open in September, but this school should have been open a couple of months ago too. So it's frustrating that way for parents, and that we were told maybe in February our children would be going up, and it's now June and no child has been in the school. So I say it is good news, but there's still a lot of work to do, even around. There's 3 or 4 therapist posts that haven't been filled yet, so it's things like this here, like even actually a functioning board in the school. We haven't had a functioning board in 2 years. I think a functioning board would actually maybe move these things on quicker too. In fairness to the principal, she can't really say too much out loud, but a board can say the things that maybe should be said.
Yeah, are the 4 modular classrooms on site yet, do we know?
Well, they're always there, Greg, yes, but that's part of the old, it's going to be the old Little Angels premises that will be used. That's the 4 modular buildings. I'm taking it
Yes, okay, because it doesn't jump out at you necessarily in the statement. It reads as follows. Pat the Cope Gallagher has thanked the parents for their continuous pressure, culminating in an agreement with the HSC that 4 modular classrooms in addition to the new school are to be used, thus ensuring all pupils are accommodated. Yeah. So those 4 modulars then are on the old site, and that is complementing the new school. Are you? Is there anything to suggest to you that maybe the school might not open in time? And if that's the case, is there access to the old Little Angels building if that were to be the case? Because it's July now, effectively, so that's July and August.
Well, I'd like to say, me and a couple of the reps met with Minister McConnell on Monday, actually, and we put that question to him. And he's very confident that we'll be open for September. It has to be open, Greg, because the old school can only facilitate the children's there at the moment. So we need the new school and the old school. But again, this is only a temporary fix. You know, are we going to look at this time next year? The numbers, we can't facilitate them. So we have to get the permanent solution, which maybe is a school, maybe the far side of the gap in Donegal town, an extra school. But something needs to happen, because we can't be sitting every year with parents frustrated that they have nowhere for their child to go. Like,
do you think part of the government solution, does this tie into our coverage? I'm not sure if you heard it a little earlier in the week about, children with, mild needs moving into mainstream classes, and the likes of then maybe St. Bernadette's Special School becoming available and operating similar to that of Little Angels. Is that what's happening here?
Greg, you know what? Funny, I was just chatting to Karen there. I have two children with autism, our oldest boy and the youngest boy. The oldest boy went to an autism unit off a school in Woodlands, and it worked perfectly. There is children that just does not work for. They just can't cope. It's sensory. There's so much things going on. Again, we're trying to pigeonhole children into boxes that just doesn't fit.
No, none of us can be put in a box. Yeah.
At the end of the day, the children in St. Bernadette's are there for a reason, because they can't cope, or maybe the school.
But I just wonder, is the plan to displace the likes of the students in St. Bernadette's into mainstream schools with a view to accommodating more children with more complex needs in such schools? I don't know. Is that, do you think that's possibly what could be going on?
Do you know what, Greg? I haven't heard too much about this. Now, we haven't heard, again, there's that much stuff going on too, but I would find that very disappointing, because we have all different levels of autism or special needs. And at the end of the day, Little Angels, it is probably for the more severe cases, where St. Bernadette's is for the children that, are probably milder, but still can't maybe cope with a mainstream setting.
Yeah. That's it for sure.
We have all the settings. We have the units of the mainstream schools. We have St. Bernadette's and we have Little Angels. So we have all the different levels. And to start messing about with that now, it's children. It says children. We're chatting about here. We shouldn't just be start messing about with systems. If the system's working, don't mess with it.
Nothing more important in children, and that's why we spend so much time talking about it, trying to make any little difference that we can on this show. So the bottom line is then good news for Little Angel schools on the face of it, but these positions need to be filled. There are other positions that need to be filled, and the actual new school itself needs to be not just open, but it has to be presumably properly equipped and prepared for any specific needs that might be there, whatever work needs to be done on the 4 modular classrooms to make sure they're up to scratch. There's a lot to do in the next couple of months, Leonard.
Well, Joe, not even the next couple of months, the next couple of years. We have to start future-proofing these schools. At the end of the day, they're not like mainstream schools where you can have builders in every couple of years. Even the fact that you could have builders on site can be a tough time for children maybe who have sensory with noise and dust and all. So we have to start future-proofing schools that they're big enough for a 4 or 5 year period or 6 year period ever. Instead of this kind of stick and plaster, which it is at the moment. The modular buildings is a stick and plaster. It's not perfect, but we have to get these children into the school.
Yeah, okay, Leonard, listen, thanks so much for your time as always. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Right, I got this email in a short while ago, but I just didn't get around to reading it now. And it's about people's experience, or a person's experience, with the Garda recruitment process. And it reads as follows. I wanted to share my recent experience with the Garda recruitment process in case others have gone through something similar. I applied to the February 2025 recruitment campaign knowing I didn't fully meet the educational requirements. I don't have a strong leaving cert, and while I've completed various courses over the years, they don't total the required 120 credits for level 5. Still, with over 25 years of experience in the public service and as a mature woman of 46 with 4 grown children, I thought I might have something valuable to offer. I applied with realistic expectations. To my surprise, I was invited to complete stage 1, the aptitude test. I assumed this was standard for all applicants, so I went ahead. Weeks later, I received word that I had passed and was invited for interview. I was over the moon to hear I had passed the interview stage 2. Throughout the process, I was completely honest about not having the required qualifications, but then, after a month of silence, I rang Public Jobs, only to be told I wasn't eligible to proceed further due to the educational criteria. No one had flagged this earlier, and I felt completely strung along for months, led to believe I had a real shot, only to be told I shouldn't have been progressing at all. In all my years, I've never experienced such a disorganised system. I've emailed senior figures and only ever received the same dismissive responses. It's disheartening. The Garda say they're crying out for new recruits, yet they're overlooking people who bring decades of life and work experience that no piece of paper can replace. I just wanted to share my story in case others have gone through something similar. I doubt I'll apply again. The entire process has left me feeling extremely disappointed and disillusioned. It really knocked the wind out of me. Thanks for taking the time to read this. And again, I'd be grateful if you just withhold my name. Signed, a very disappointed and disheartened woman. Yeah, it's a toughie, isn't it? If your educational criteria, or if the educational criteria wasn't met, why do the aptitude test? Why bring you in for an interview? You know, you're 2 steps down the line there, and then to hear nothing. Very, very disheartening. I'm not sure if anyone else can relate to that, because, you know, fair play to you at your stage of life, still a very young person, but having raised your children, to think, right, I can do something here, I can make a difference. And also to sort of say, right, I don't necessarily have the exact educational requirements, but let's see how we go. I'm just not sure that's going to be incredibly relatable to the masses. What I mean by that is how many other people had the drive and push that you had. But we'll put it out there and we'll see. 086 60 25,000. I must take a very short break. Back in a moment.
Donegal Vintage Club will hold a tractor, vintage and car classic run this Sunday 29th in Ramelton. €20 per tractor or car, with registration at 12 noon at the Quay, followed by refreshments and live music with Paul McCahill. Proceeds in aid of Care of the Aged, the RNLI and local charities. This ad is sponsored by Wirrasky's Eurospar and Ice Cream Parlour Ramelton.
Rossview Interiors in Letterkenny are delighted to offer a limited quantity of sofas just in at unbelievable knockdown prices, with suites reduced from €2,050 to €1,250 and corner suites from just €1,350. There's also storage beds down from €650 to €450 and huge savings on a selected range of dining sets. So make your way to Rossview Interiors, Rossview Business Park, Letterkenny, just off the Polestar roundabout, as these bargains won't last.
Rise of the mega finisher. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we reveal the increase in farmers finishing thousands of cattle per year. Why suckler income surged in 2024. Find out what you missed from Sheep 2025. Farmers urged to prepare for significant tax bills. Minister Michael Healy-Rae on calendar farming, carbon tax and driving machinery. Plus, don't miss your free 24-page Irish Farmers Journal Junior for the young farmers in your house. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Looking for a new car today? Go to any Nissan dealer and say you want 4K your way. Nissan's new 4K Your Way deal lets you choose €4,000 towards financing a new Nissan or €4,000 as a trade-in bonus. This offer is available on 4 Nissan models, the Qashqai, Duke, X-Trail or Aria. So if you're looking for a 252 car today, don't delay. Get 4K your way. See nissan.ie for details. Nissan. Defy ordinary. Terms and conditions apply.
Pink. It's more than a colour. It's a splash that makes everything feel fresher. Pink socks to work? Guaranteed good day. Pink running shoes are a PB waiting to happen. Pink umbrella? You'll forget it's even raining. And now, pink meets 7-Up. Crisp, fizzy, fun. Turning every sip into a refreshing burst of flavour. New 7-Up Pink Lemonade. 0 sugar. Life's fresher with pink.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
11:17. The EU Commission is said to be under pressure to ban the use of dairy or meat terminology to promote or advertise vegetarian or synthetic foods. The employment of terms like sausage, burger and schnitzel in vegetarian or vegan foods was deliberate and cynical and must constitute a breach of any Trade Descriptions Act as commonly understood. Well, Dennis Drennan is president of the ICMSA, that's the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association. Are you upset at, I suppose, people using phrases like veggie burgers or, veggie sausages, Dennis?
Well, good morning, first of all, and good morning to all your listeners. Look, this is something that has developed European-wide. excuse me. And there's a regulation being pushed at the moment by a French MEP called Céline Mart, and she's a member of the European People's Party. And this is something that's coming up all over Europe. So it's not just about burgers and sausages that we would associate here in Ireland, but it could be like the likes of Schnitzel, Frankfurters in Germany, or Goulash in Hungary, or whatever. It's just developing a problem that people have an expectation if they go by what is always termed and deared to them as being a meat-containing product. And now we have these multi-billion-euro corporations, trying to really piggyback on the names and reputations and we'll say the taste, the texture and the experience that people have in eating meat-based products. And, we feel it's unfair, as do most of Europe at this point in time.
What could the problem be? Because the consumer's not thick, right? So they know the difference between a vegetable sausage and a pork sausage. Just using that as one example, though I know it's not specific to sausages.
Yeah,
so what's the harm in that?
But I suppose if you have a new product coming to the market and you have faith in that product and you deem that there's going to be a demand for that product and people are going to enjoy eating that product, and we have no problem with anybody being vegan, vegetarian, whatever lifestyle choices people make, whatever taste, experience, texture they want from their food or from their lifestyle, that's absolutely fine with us. But we don't feel it should be piggybacked on the basis of something that's been established for decades and centuries as regards what it should be. Like if you look up the Oxford Dictionary, the definition of a sausage is minced pork mixed with herbs and spices and, transferred into a sausage like sausage shape. We even have this shape of sausage. And it's even more important in other European countries where, certain local products are deemed to be made from local meats and local traditions. So, why piggyback? If somebody wants to bring out a vegan product and there's a place in the marketplace for that and people deem it to be, something that they enjoy eating, that's absolutely fine. But why piggyback on names that are established for centuries based on the experience that the consumer has?
I think what's going to be more problematic, not diminishing that problem, is synthetic meat that's created in a lab, effectively chicken breasts that never were attached to an actual chicken. If they were marketed as chicken breasts, I think, even the consumer might have a big issue with that.
Yeah, well, this is where this market creep. If you look at where most of it started was with milk drinks, dairy drinks, and the European Union has outlawed that you cannot call oat drink oat milk, because obviously a field of oats that you look out at doesn't have any mammary glands and can't produce milk. So that's already been banned at European level. So we're delighted to see that the European are looking at this and protecting the long-established reputation of the products that are being covered by this bill, and that people, young children, especially at an impressionable age, won't eat a sausage or what's called to be a sausage that is not actually a sausage, and have a bad experience possibly and put them off eating sausages or burgers or schnitzels for the rest of their life.
Jerry Boland's founder and spokesperson of Animals Behind Closed Doors. What's your view on this story, Jerry?
I think it's a non-story, except, Dennis and all the people who are in the industry are making it a story. Personally, I think it's ill-advised. I think it's kind of a nonsense story, to be honest, which, as you say yourself, people know what a veggie sausage is, and they know they know whether it's got meat in it or not. To me, to be quite honest with you, the only really cynical thing in this odd debate is how the farming industry itself attempts to sell the industry as welfare friendly, when the exact opposite is the case. The fact is that over 98% of all the pig meat raised and produced in this country and eaten by people and sold abroad is raised in intensive conditions. That means factory farmed. So why, for instance, isn't that labelled in the supermarkets? Why isn't there a label saying this product, and on the 8 sausages you buy, this product comes from an intensive industry where the pigs never see the light of day and are slaughtered at 6 months of age, and all the other things that happen to them.
I think, Jerry, obviously the argument could be made that it's not all like that, but that's not the point I'm going to make. But, we talk about consumers not being stupid. Someone eating a sausage, it's not like they don't even perhaps want to think that it's a happy, friendly animal jogging around the field. We kind of know that, and we kind of accept it, and that's part of meat eating, isn't it? Whether you agree with it or not, the consumer, again, is not silly.
The meat industry has adopted the name sausage. the sausage comes from the Latin salsus, to mean salted. There's no dog in hot dog, for instance. So these are just semantics that we're dealing
but
with.
Just in terms of
finish the
yes,
point?
of course, go ahead.
Yeah, like the meat industry, is taking ownership of sausage. But like I became vegetarian 40 years ago. And for the first 10 years, I don't eat vegan sausages. I think it's rubbish food, just like I think ordinary meat sausages is rubbish food. I don't eat it. But for the first 10 years of my vegetarian life, I made vegetarian sausages. And it just was the obvious thing just to use that name. It's consumers. It's confusing enough for consumers as it is with all the labeling and the confusing.
But
labeling.
Jerry, just
introduce the term.
Yeah, but let me just suggest we're kind of disadvantaged that you don't eat these products, okay? But if the meat industry started sort of making their labeling on sausages a little bit ambiguous, whereby, they said, pork veggie sausages because there was a bit of vegetable through the sausage. Vegetarians would start kicking up a stink here because it would be encroaching on their IP, wouldn't they? And maybe someone might accidentally eat a pork sausage that is not vegetarian. So we do need clear marketing boundaries for reasons like that, surely, at least.
Yeah, but like an overall point is that the meat industry is hugely powerful. Like it's valued at the moment at over $1 trillion. The vegan industry is valued at the moment at about $45 billion. So like it's tiny compared. So what's happening here is that the meat industry is using its muscle to try and restrict competition and to try and hinder competition. That's what this is about. They see the vegan movement encroaching on their territory and they don't like it and they're very powerful. And I just think it's they're shooting themselves in the foot with this. I don't think these terms are going to be changed. And I think consumers will see it for what it is, as a cynical exercise just to try and restrict further the vegan industry, which is on the growth, and everyone knows it's growing very fast. And that's for a whole pile of reasons, not just animal rights reasons, environmental reasons, climate change reasons, human health reasons. The arguments are very, very powerful now for a plant-based diet, and that's what the meat industry is afraid of.
But Dennis, I mean, you're not hiding that fact, are you? You want to protect the industry, and you don't want any further encroachment by the veggie industry off the back of names that are so strongly associated with meat.
But you've answered the question yourself. I mean, the names that are so associated with meat. So if you go to Germany and order schnitzel, you presume you're going to get veal. And if you go to Hungary and order goulash, you presume you're going to get, minced beef in it. And I mean, as I said, there's no threat here. There's not a threat from the vegan movement because the vegan movement is expanding at a much slower pace than world population. Actually, if anything, meat is becoming a deficit in the world. That's where the market is. That's not created by me as a farmer. That's where the consumer is voting with their feet. So we have no issue with people becoming vegans, vegetarians, whatever their dietary choices are. That's absolutely no problem whatsoever. We welcome everybody. There should be a choice for everybody, and everybody is free to make the choices for what they want to eat. What we're saying is, if you want to bring a new product onto the market that's not a schnitzel, not a frankfurter, not goulash, find your own name to it. Don't be just piggybacking on what's established as a pleasurable experience to eat a sausage or eat a schnitzel, and piggybacking on top of that. Bring out your own name. If the product is good enough and popular enough, it will become a recognised brand, the same as any other brand does out there. And just leave the meaning that people have understood for centuries as it is. Not confusing people, and not throwing spanner in the works and piggybacking on what has been long established for centuries.
Oh, veggie backing for that matter. Jerry, last word to you.
Well, last word to me is, I think everyone knows what it means when they go in to buy a vegan burger. Nobody, and likewise meat eaters as well. I think this is absolutely unnecessary. I don't think it's a threat to the industry. I think it's further confusion if we start renaming vegan burgers and vegan sausages. But it doesn't really matter what they're called. For me, the main thing is that it's the compassionate choice, it's the environmentally friendly choice. I know Dennis won't agree with that, but that's my view on it.
Thank you very much, Jerry Boland, Dennis Drennan, both of you. Have a lovely day.
The Sofa Time Summer Sale is now on. Don't miss our festival of savings with huge reductions across the entire range. Discover our best ever lineup of sofas, exclusive designs, and delivery throughout Ireland. Visit our new store at Crescent Link Retail Park, Derry. Sofa Time. Make it yours.
Is your little one starting big school this September? At Dunnes Stores, we've got you covered for those memorable milestones. From waving goodbye at the gate to snapping that first proud photo in their new uniform. Feel confident as they take their next big step with quality schoolwear. Pick up a 3-pack of playproof polos from €5. Pair these with Easy Care joggers also from €5, plus a comfy sweatshirt from €3.75. Shop back to school in store and online now. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
New store, new project. Your new B&Q and TradePoint Letterkenny is now open. Dreaming of a garden glow-up, fresh colour for your walls, or a new kitchen? Whatever you need for your next home improvement project, we're here to help at your new B&Q Letterkenny. Find us at Unit 4 Letterkenny Retail Park, Neil T. Blaney Road. We're open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday. You can do it when you B&Q it.
The Irish Government is now covering the cost of HRT products and dispensing fees for all stages of menopause. There is no age-based eligibility for this, but you must have a prescription and be registered with the HSE Drugs Payment Scheme. For more information, see gov.ie/HRT or talk to your GP. A message from the Government of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply. GP visit cost not included. Available at participating pharmacies.
I'm at Dublin Airport Terminal 1 doing a survey. Oh, here's someone. Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you a question? How far did you have to park from the airport? Oh, that far. Did you know that if you'd taken an expressway coach, it would have been super comfy and so easy to book, and it would have dropped you right here at the door? Oh, you didn't. Oh well, next time. Bye. If you're going to Dublin Airport, book online at expressway.ie and get right to the door. Don't go the car way, go expressway. Way better.
Attention golfers, join us at Dunfanny Golf Club on Friday the 4th of July for a charity golf classic in aid of Ronald McDonald House, a fantastic charity that helps countless Donegal families while their children are required to visit or stay at the Children's Hospital in Dublin. A team of 4 is only €150, which includes food and fantastic prizes on the day. Enjoy the crack while raising money for charity. To book, call Dunfanny Golf Club on 07491 36335 or visit dunfannygolfclub.com.
Okay, Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballagher Garden Centre. Welcome into studio. How are you keeping?
Not so bad, Greg.
Good stuff. And like your outfit, we're all set for the weekend.
Oh yes. New on the course, the mast. No.
Are you going to get down
to
the game?
No, don't
too
think
busy.
so.
Saturday, isn't it? Too.
Yeah.
Just too much moving around to be done. Mixed bag with the weather again. What's it mean for growth, for gardens, for hedges, for trees, for whatever?
Pretty much it's mild, so the growth's still fairly strong, if you know what I mean. But in terms of flowers, the sunshine's not there, just so it's maybe things aren't looking maybe as bright and vibrant as they should be. But I know the long range forecast is a big heat wave on the way, so we're living in hope.
Will we see it?
We heard that one before.
Yeah, we're past the longest day. We're in midsummer really now, aren't we?
Yes, midsummer pretty much.
And interestingly, it's not for a few days yet that the evenings draw in. A lot of people are saying it's getting darker, but it's actually the day shortens from the morning, I think, until the 28th.
Yeah, pretty much. There's sort of, it's like probably the longest day on average, if you know what I mean, maybe, but one side still going more than the other.
Summer traditionally, midsummer, celebrating the fertility and abundance in the garden, and we're seeing a lot of that too.
Yes, absolutely. I know midsummer traditionally always, probably going back to pre-Christian times and all, that was a very important time. I suppose they always worked with the solstices and stuff, so it's a time where a lot of plants, like even your berries and stuff, are all in season, so it's a time of celebration for the growing stuff, you know.
And you can go and graze the hedges.
Yes, pretty much. Right?
And your plants and what have you all
I
picked
was just checking the blackcurrants this morning there, they're looking well.
Yeah, but you can see why traditionally an ample access to fresh fruit, why traditionally, there was celebrations in the summer. I wonder, is that where our festivals come from?
I think it's where a lot of them can trace their sort of roots back to that. Sort of, they did celebrate times of abundance and that sort of stuff, you know.
And is this a traditional time of year for herbs to reach their full maturity?
Yes, funny now, a lot of time the herbs, whenever they're in full flower, which is around now, I'm supposed to, one associated with midsummer would be St. John's wort, which is...
what is that? Because wart, instantly I'm just thinking of a wart.
Yes, no, it's W-O-R-T. Don't know what the significance of that is if you don't know. St. John's wort is a hypericum. It's a type of hypericum you get sort of once for the garden now, but it's the native one. You would get it growing quite a lot around here, around Fanad and stuff. But St. John's Day is the 24th of June, which is sort of coming from pre-Christian midsummer. And that's whenever it's sort of deemed to be at its strongest. But
and what would people use it for?
Pretty much, it's still used a lot for depression, but the main one it seems to be used for.
And is it made into a tea, rubbed into the skin?
Made into a tea.
Okay,
pretty much. There are probably sort of toxic elements to it too, so you need to know what you're doing basically. But it's a long association with Donegal in the sense that it was always known as St. Colm Kills plant. He was a big promoter of it. He always wore it in his clothes and stuff as a symbol for protection and for depression. And that would be a thing. And there another benefit of it as well. It's most powerful around the 24th. So around now, if you put it under your pillow, you can dream of your future wife or husband.
Okay. Oh, not.
Yes,
don't put it under your pillow. Yeah, indeed. I wonder, is that still a tradition? Perhaps it is. We mentioned, tons of summer fruit and what have you. All very exciting times as well for, private potato growers and people growing other stuff. Is it harvesting time yet?
It's pretty much getting to be harvesting time, all right. Probably early onions, scallions, that sort of stuff would be all looking pretty good at the minute. A wee bit early for tomatoes, although in our tunnel we got a few out there the last day. But potatoes now are sort of traditionally starting to come now at the start of July. Even you see the sort of trailers popping up along the road and stuff, But it really is hard to beat your own homegrown stuff. So
when do you pick the tomatoes? What colour are they at, like?
Generally, at this time you'd allow them to go red on the plant.
Yeah.
So they would just...
My mum used to pick them green. I don't know why
yes,
that
you
was.
Can,
it was
you
in the
can
back
do
of
that
my head
right.
somewhere. Yeah.
Probably towards the end of the year, maybe.
Right,
as
okay.
A thing that wouldn't the
this
same
was
levels
indoor
of
kind of stuff, I seem to recall.
Put them in the windowsill then.
Yeah.
Right. But no, generally, if you're looking for sort of a succession of the crop, you would pick them a wee bit, just take them as they ripen.
And what would be the difference between sort of like a ripe tomato off the vine locally and maybe one you might pick up from a store?
Yes, suppose
like I mean, in terms of taste, texture.
Yeah, the big difference is suppose the taste is just 100% different.
Is it?
So, yeah.
Is it sweeter, bitterer?
It's generally sweeter, I would have thought. So it is now. But the other thing is you can pick them at the appropriate time of ripeness. Like if you buy them in the supermarket, a lot of the time they're probably have been picked green and they still will be a long way from being ripe.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
If I have a few the next time round, I'll bring you up a bag.
Yeah, I kind of, a lot of my eating was texture based, not taste based as such, you know, and things like mushrooms, tomatoes, and I would just now it's not as much an issue for me with tomatoes. I can, a bit of salt on them, ham sandwich, delicious, or whatever in a salad. I would love them, and I don't mind them bitter or sweet either, for that matter. All right, so great stuff. If you are harvesting your spuds, your scallions, your onions, your fruit, send us pictures of what you've managed to bag so far. Is there a right or wrong time to pick? How do you know when potatoes are ready? I mean, obviously we're talking sort of like in calendar times here, but I mean, and obviously those in the know, right? But say, for instance, it's someone's first crop or something. Is there a right or wrong stage of their growth or development to pick them?
Pretty much. Suppose a lot of it comes with experience. Traditional way would be the potato plant grows and then it flowers, and you let the flowers die back for 2 or 3 weeks. And then after that, they should be good to go. But most potato crops, you're chatting sort of a minimum of 100 days in the ground. So you would be. I suppose the traditional way was they were associated with going into St. Patrick's Day, and then they should have been ready to come out around the 12th of July. So the saying was in with Paddy and out with Billy.
So that's not the first time you've used that one. It still makes me laugh. Gardening jobs now, we're seeing quite a bit of rain, but then there's not a rain for quite some time as well, and the air's dry and there's a breeze. So, we do need to keep an eye on watering. I'm taking it.
Yes, pretty much. I just kind of don't get complacent with the watering, basically. Get into the habit of checking them pretty much every night, because it can be quite, like you say, the breeze there can be quite drying, even though you do see rain at times. So just get in the habit of checking them. And like with your bedding plants, if you do nothing else when you keep them watered, you'll be grand.
And dead-headed. I haven't seen a wasp or bee, a kind.
Yes, funny. Wasps there. Generally, there's a few about. I was actually working in a place yesterday up in Malin, and the place was covered.
Teeming with them.
So it was. But wasps generally now is a time to sort of check your outbuildings and stuff, because wasps are actively starting to nest at the minute. Funny, I got one in my own shed the last day, which is where they just started building a nest. And whereas probably if it's an out of the way area, maybe some people wouldn't mind, but if it's an area where children are, that would be quite dangerous. So just
is it obvious? Is it like lots of wasps in one particular area?
Much you'll see them getting out, and then you'll see the nest sort of forming. It starts like it's like a papery structure. It starts with the size of an egg, but it can get up to like the size of a football with thousands of wasps in it. So it's a good idea. Just
they don't make honey at all, wasps.
No, they don't think so. No. But the other thing, wasps tend to go where there's a food source, and what I've found is a lot of people now are sort of hoard their cans and bottles to bring them back for the recycling money. So that would be very attractive to a wasp. So just if you're storing them in your shed, just keep an eye.
Dirty little buggers. Do they provide? Is there any benefit to them, wasps?
I'm sure probably for pollinating purposes they have some benefit, if you know what I mean. But to be honest, I could do without them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Why? Why is my strawberries got fungus on them?
Why is your strawberries got fungus on them? Possibly with fungus and that sort of thing. Generally, it's airflow. Maybe if they're in a polytunnel or if they're somewhere like that, that mildew can build up on them. So with a view to that, if you open out the plant a wee bit more, get more air going in, or even if you open the doors here, if they're inside, if you know what I mean. But to treat the fungus, sort of an organic way of doing that is a lot of people swear by spray them with semi-skim milk, and that actually should
not what's going to come out of your mouth 1 week to the next.
So, but a semi-skim milk at them apparently, because you don't want to be using chemicals, because your strawberries you're eating quite soon after you'd spray them. You know what I mean? So try that on them and see how it goes.
Okay, but you've heard that enough to trust that it could work.
Yes, absolutely.
There's something eating my strawberries, just the fruit, not the leaves. Can never see anything on them, but the fruit is being completely destroyed. Any ideas what it might be or how to stop it for that matter?
I'd be 99.9% sure it's slugs. It's actually slugs doing damage can be wee tiny things that only really come out at night. So the notion would be, if you have like your strawberry sort of farming and it hasn't been attacked yet, if you get something on under it, like say an empty wee plant pot or something like that, and just lift it up a wee bit from the soil, it'll make it that wee bit harder to access. So it might get you the fruit more than the slug.
How do you get rid of horsetail weed?
I don't know. I've had more people contact me recently about that. Generally, digging it out doesn't really work because you leave the roots behind. It grows.
What about burning it? You see these gas yolks?
Yes. Burning tends to burn just what's above the ground.
Yeah, it's okay.
So it does. And most of the sprays do the same. And because it's sort of waxy texture, it doesn't really take in the sprays either. So probably just diligence in terms of trying to dig it out as best you can, especially if it's on round plants.
I was going to ask where's the future pay option in the Donegal parking app, but that's a different topic. Deciding which location to put a polytunnel. I have two possible spots. One, full light area, but worse soil near house. Or two, better soil, but less sun away from the house.
Right, so...
it's kind of exciting. They're in a little
exactly,
thing.
Yeah. Funny, it's a nice...
gives me a wee buzz, that.
It's a nice problem to have, in terms you have, because most people have just one area suitable. In terms of, I suppose there are pros and cons of everything. Generally, full sun wouldn't be something that would bother me, particularly in the sense if you have about 6 hours of daylight a day, should be plenty. And sometimes, like July, August, full sun can be more a problem than... Obviously, it's good in the springtime, but the summertime might be too much. The poor soil in one location wouldn't really bother me either, in the sense that you're always going to be improving your soil.
Yeah.
And maybe using raised beds. So, did they say one place was closer to the house?
Yeah.
Generally, I would always go fairly close to the house just for convenience sake, in terms of you're out and watering. If it's a wet day, you can sort of nip out and so I would tend to go.
I think so.
And
nice, easy access.
The main concern I would have with our situation in polytunnel would be the wind. If you one side that's windier than the other, I would tend to put it in the less windy, obviously. And sort of you can orientate the side of the tunnel towards the prevailing one too helps. So, but chat to somebody in the evening in the garden centre, even ourselves down there.
Nice complaint to have. Exciting times. How and when do you grow rhubarb?
Generally, you'd plant rhubarb autumn or springtime. You can buy the crowns there. You can buy it in pots.
So now's just not.
No,
the time.
Generally, most garden centres would even have it in pots now.
Okay,
but you wouldn't get a crop on it after probably next year. But very easy to grow. Just plenty of water, plenty of manure.
All right, okay. Our obsession with lawns is ridiculous. All wide flowers are needed for pollinators, which we need. No pollinators, no food. This is one of those again, like how much do you want to be responsible for nature and the environment? Do you believe you've got any role? Do you care? Or do you want your lawn looking the best? You know, a lot of lawns grow patchy and there's weeds come up and then they're cut more regularly perhaps even than they need to be. It's up to people's own moral compass, really, isn't it?
Pretty much, it's all a matter of a choice. In terms of, like, I suppose it's your house, your garden.
Do you think bees are important? Well, if you do, you leave your flowers up for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not care about bees? Cut your lawn till it's yellow. You know what?
Yes,
I don't.
I suppose it's a matter of compromise. Like if you had concern for the bees,
Do whatever's within do whatever's in the wall of your house.
Yeah.
And then all fence, and then not worry about it. I would suggest. What's the best way to plant rose snippings in a banana or a spud?
Yes, sort of. This is coming probably from a lot of your sort of TikTok hacks and that you see at the minute and stuff you see online. Generally, rose cuttings, you can do it two ways. You can take softwood cuttings, probably now at the end of the summer, or even do hardwood cuttings sort of into the autumn time. A lot of people do stick them into a potato and then bury the potato because that it seals up the cut in terms of any infection getting in, and also as the potato degrades, it provides fertilizer for the rose cutting. So generally, to be honest, like people have been growing for centuries without potatoes or bananas, if you know what I mean. So, but if I was pushed towards either of them, I'd say the potato would be more likely.
Only time for 2 quickies. What vegetables can I plant at this time of year?
Now pretty much anything from the cabbage family. Even you could sort of start your onions, scallions, that sort of stuff, lettuces. There are loads of choice out there at the minute that you can do.
And wildflowers, how important are they to nature? We kind of touched on that. Well, they're very important, aren't they?
Yes, no, they are very important, all right.
Is it good to leave a patch? Is that a compromise?
Yes, that would be a compromise, sort of, yeah. Like if you want the pristine lawn, have a patch sort of around the back of the house where you can let go wild.
And finally, what's the environmentally friendly way to spray roses?
You can buy environmentally friendly rose sprays, sort of like rose garden.
Are they any good?
They're good, but they tend to be very expensive. So they're compared to the ordinary stuff.
Always a rub, isn't there?
But generally, if you want to protect your roses, keeping them well fed, keeping the plants,
keeping them strong,
keep the plants strong, and they'll be able to fight off things a lot better themselves.
All right, listen, Paul, thanks so much for calling up. Great stuff. We'll have you back in a couple of weeks.
Perfect.
Look forward to it already. Paul from Ballochdur Garden Centre. Just to remind you, the team down at Ballochdur Garden Centre, super friendly. Any questions, drop in. And I can say all of our centres right around this beautiful region too, they're all very, very friendly and love to see you in, bring pictures and they'll give you advice in their time. Paul, thanks so very much indeed. We've got some live music coming up.
Don't miss the 33rd annual Finn Valley Show at Russell Brothers Farm, Killygordon on Saturday 28th of June. Enjoy dog, home industries, poultry, sheep, cattle, horse and pony classes. Plus the fast and furious donkey derby. There's also a show and shine tractor competition judged by Kirsty Ward from Grassmen. With live music from Jason McGahl and Anthony Redstone, trade stands and children's entertainment. It's sure to be a fun-filled day at the Finn Valley Show on Saturday 28th of June. This ad is brought to you by Kieran's Butchers Raffo, a family-run butcher bringing the finest meats from Donegal Farms to your table.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Until Sunday, Super Value Fresh Irish Sirloin Steak save 25%. Selected ranges like Cadbury and Pringles, 3 for €5. Wolf Blass, Yellow Label, Chardonnay, €10. And scan your Real Rewards card or app and get selected Ariel and Bold Pods 58-piece, just €10. Make real summer savings at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Meet Mike. He's here to tell you why you should switch to Outsurance and save on your car insurance.
Hi, I'm Mike from County Kerry. I made the switch to Outsurance and saved €143. I'm also on my way to getting 10% cash back with their Out bonus.
Like the sound of that? For a competitive car insurance quote like Mike's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Exceptions, criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Show your colours at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Donegal t-shirts, polo shirts with matching shorts or quarter zips. Support our team, be proud and be loud with the latest jerseys. There's Donegal on-pitch jerseys, or try the latest training jerseys from only €45. Brian McCormick Sports, supporting Donegal GAA. Sponsor of Donegal Football All-County Division 1.
Join us at Austin Alton Gortahork this and every Friday night for Donegal's best night of music and dance with one of Ireland's finest singer-songwriters and entertainers, Sinead Crampsy, on stage from 10 p.m. Admission is free and there's complimentary refreshments on the night. Don't miss it. Sinead Crampsy every Friday night, all summer long at Austin Alton Gortahork.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find all your summer essentials from fashion and accessories to beauty and homeware at McElhenny's. Explore more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
Breezy today with sunny spells. Isolated showers at first. They've cleared now, though. It'll become cloudy during the afternoon and evening with outbreaks of rain developing in the west, which will turn more persistent in the evening. Temperatures 15 to 18 degrees. Matthew Crampsy, good morning to you. Thanks so much for calling in. How are you keeping?
Good, Craig. Thank you very much for having me.
Good to have you back on the show. New song coming out, Follow Me. We're going to hear that. It's coming out next week.
Yeah, so it's coming out on the 4th of July. A lot of people, I'm hoping, will know it. It's a cover of a song, came out in 2000. So when you hear it, I hope you know it. That was kind of the plan, of releasing a cover first before we release originals again. So I'm just hoping people enjoy it and get behind it and see how it goes.
There is some amazing songs that, those songs that come on the radio and you forgot, but they're brilliant. And I don't know why they're not re-recorded a bit more, especially by sort of Irish artists, because, alongside your own work as well.
Yeah, this one I have noticed, like, every single time I gig it in the last 9 months, maybe to a year. It's one of those songs you can see it comes on the brain, they're like, how do I know this? And then by the time it gets to the chorus, they're singing it, and I was like, when you're kind of looking for something at that time, I was like, what could I do to try and, launch a new thing? And I just thought that was a great idea. So I'm hoping now it does well, please God.
I didn't realise it was about cheating on your wife. Is it from the man's perspective, is it?
I think, as far as I know, I think he's trying to get her to cheat on her spouse with him, as far as I know. I never actually thought about the lyrics. It's one of them songs, it just comes on, you're singing away.
I think too, it's one of those ones, a good song, actually you can interpret it whichever way.
Exactly. You
can sort of fit it into your own situ, and that's how they start endearing themselves to it. It also has to be catchy and everything.
Yeah.
So you're post-Kjol now. You're all in now to the Matthew Crampsy project. Is it about as a solo artist? Do you want to get a new crew together? What's your plans? What's your future looking like in that regard?
Yeah. So the plan is now. Obviously, I left Kjol in October there last year, and we're just obviously I've always done the original thing. Even before I joined the band, I was doing original music. But then going on the road and seeing, the scale of the shows and stuff, I realised that it takes something very, very special to just do original music and get to that scale. So I've kind of dialed in a bit, and I'm like, right, I don't mind doing covers and doing them my way with kind of the sound that, like, all the tracks that are going to be released from now on have a similar sound. I'm trying to get a band on the road as well, and I've kind of recorded everything with that band aspect in mind. And then I suppose the plan is just keep the head down and hope for world domination, really. I have loads of songs written, some that are kind of in the Irish music vein, some that are in the very much country music vein, but again, just trying to keep the instrumentation and all that kind of stuff the same, hoping they all fall into the same guise, and then just hope that people like it, and eventually I would love to get to the point where I was doing ticketed gigs or like festivals and stuff.
Why not though? Why? And I think you're right too. Firstly, most of the big artists, their first couple of songs, they don't write them.
Yeah.
Right. And then they get sort of a writing credit.
Yeah.
You know yourself, right? And they'll do covers as well. Do you know what I mean? So there's no. I think if you go right, everything has to be own. Blah blah blah. I think that does hold some people back, but also too, like to another contemporary example about having a sound. Like as soon as a Sabrina Carpenter song starts, it's her.
Exactly.
Right. Like now, it's not samey.
Yeah.
And I'm not a musician, so I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I know a new track from her, that's Sabrina Carpenter or someone ripping her off.
Like I know for myself, even with Spotify and stuff, if there's a new artist and they're covering a song I will 9 times out of 10 go and listen to the artist then. We
do that.
That's like it's such a strange thing. And the funny thing about it is like someone writes a song and they sing it and people are like, oh, it's grand. But then if someone like your friend beside you could say, oh, he wrote this song, and they'll sing it, and people are like, oh, I must check this out. It's just such a strange thing.
So you're heading off to America, and you've got plenty of gigs lined up all over the place. Actually, I mean, how do you sort of? Is it tough? Are you sourcing these gigs yourself as well as maybe working on a band? Working together?
I have been very, very lucky. The last couple of years, my social media has been. It's not massive.
You work hard on it, in fairness, Matthew.
But it's not a massive. It's not a massive scale. But what I have is a very, very loyal following. I have very supportive people. I have very supportive venues all around. And then, luckily enough for like Donegal and Shown, there are so many people from here that are moving away and doing really well for themselves, and they want to give back and they want to bring someone from home.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in Boston. I'm going out to a lad called Oren out there. He's from Maville, so shout out to them as well. But
fantastic.
He's got a couple of bars out there, and it's just one of those things. You just keep the head down and keep plugging away at it, and hopefully it takes off over time.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk about social media, that's in your hands, you know, and you do work hard, and it's about content and reach and people liking what you're doing. It's not just setting up the Matthew Crampsy project or whatever it might be called, and it, you know,
well, I try
you
and
have
keep
to slog at it.
I try and keep mine kind of into my life, you know, and I'm like, people will be scunnered to see me post about golf at the minute, but I just have taken up golf and I'm just really into it. So like, I don't try and do it. Like, I see a lot of people just kind of jump on trends and they're like eating fish and chips, and you're like, that's never what I'm going to do. You know, I'm hopeful that people like the songs and then eventually like the fella, and or like one or the other, I'm happy enough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and you seem to sort of want to know where you want to go, and I think I'm getting the impression, like saying, putting a band together, you feel that that's part of your building to where you want to get to.
Yeah, well, just from my own experience, I've been doing the one-man thing now like 15 years. I started when I was 15, I'm 30 now. I've been playing as a one-man that long. Obviously, I joined Cool and then was doing that, but I was still gigging on my own even when I was in Cool. So the one thing I have noticed is it's hard work.
Well, I think
to keep a crowd for 2 hours.
It is, and I think as well. I think you have to have already been built to carry it off, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think when someone sees the obvious suggestion would be Ed Sheeran, right?
Yeah.
But you know, he does something different, but also then he had this fantastic catalogue of music and things worked out for him, and then he could get away with going down to Crook Park and playing on his own, right?
Exactly.
With a bit of a band hidden under the stage, right?
Exactly. So it's
it's very hard even to get a big gig in a reasonably sized pub. You know,
100%.
They want to see 4 guys there in a drum kit, don't they? Or 4 guys and girls. It's just, you know, I think if you're massive, you can get away with it. But I think to get the gigs that you're looking for and to get the platform you're looking for, you're gonna need a bit more on the stage.
There's so much more you can do, like with a band. It's so funny. I be gigging there as a one piece, and I use an acoustic guitar and a stomp pedal, and I can be playing a song maybe 2 or 3 times faster than it's meant to be played. And you'll have someone go, "Do you know anything lively?" And you're like, if you knew how much effort I was putting in to go into this speed.
The right leg's hanging off me. All right, brilliant stuff. Right, we're going to listen to your recording of Follow Me, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, we could have people listening in Boston or Manchester. Where are you going to be performing locally for the summer? Because you're flat out anyway.
So I actually do every Tuesday night in McGinley's here in Letterkenny, and then I do a residency in Derry on a Wednesday night as well as a Thursday night. Friday nights and Saturday nights I could be anywhere. So you can just follow me on social media there. It's just Matthew Crampsy on all.
And I think it's Watch This Space, really.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. No, well, why not? Why not? All right, brilliant stuff, Matthew. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you very much.
And here's your take on Follow Me. Where is that? It's over here, isn't it? Okay. There's a lot of going on in front of me.
Follow me and everything is alright. I'll be the one to tuck you in at night. And if you wanna leave, I can guarantee you won't find nobody else like me. You don't know how you met me, you don't know why. You can't turn around and say goodbye. All you know is when I'm with you, I make you free. I swim through your veins like a fish in the sea, singing, follow me.
Okay, that's Matthew Crampsy's version of Follow Me. It's on our system now, so you're going to hear more of that. Don't worry about it. But Matthew's back because he nearly forgot something really important. Go on, quick.
Yeah, so I just want to say a massive happy second birthday to my goddaughter Lottie. I know as well Brody and Sophia are listening as well, and I know there's loads of people listening. Taylor, Mum, Dad, just thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you later.
And of course you will have a picture, a very recent picture of you and your goddaughter posted, I presume.
She's terrified of me at the moment. So
no, but you have a recent picture, do you? No.
No.
Yeah, you've been posting old pictures because she's scared of you.
It's so bad. She screams whenever she sees me. So we're working on it.
All right. Okay. Well, it's not your music she's scared of. All right. What's her name again?
Lottie.
Happy birthday, Lottie. Okay. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks. Cheers.
You can't turn around and say goodbye.
And we're going to be back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Stay tuned. Donna Marie Doherty's up around the northwest after the break.